Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes, so let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Sunday, everyone. And on the thumb, on the left, the Blue Jays' very own Nathan Lucas. And on the right, the phenom, Colt Emerson. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Toronto Blue Jays. Leading off for the Blue Jays in right field, Nathan Lucas. Batting second, playing first base, it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Batting third, playing third base, Kazuma Okamoto. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, catching today for Toronto, Alejandro Kirk. Batting fifth, playing center field, Dalton Varsho. Batting sixth, playing shortstop, Ernie Clement. Batting seventh, DHing for the Blue Jays, Sean Keys. Batting eighth, the former Mariner, second baseman, Luis Urias. And batting ninth, playing left field, Yohendrick Pinango. And on the mound for the Blue Jays, one of their up-and-coming studs, 4-3 record, ERA of 3.34. It is Trey Yesavage. And now let's get into the starting lineup for your Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at third base, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, playing left field with a grand salami yesterday, it is Randy Arozarena. And congratulations for making the All-Star team and representing the Seattle Mariners, Randy. Batting third, DHing for Seattle, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting fifth, playing right field, Luke Raley. Batting sixth, playing second base, Cole Clutch Young. Batting seventh, catching today for the Mariners, Mitch Garver. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, the phenom, Colt Emerson. And batting ninth, playing center field, Victor Robles. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 5-4 record, an ERA of 3.47, it is Emerson Hancock. Tridents up, let's go Ems. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic 4th of July and, being at the game, yesterday, I do apologize. I was not able to call the game here on YouTube, but, usually I go to, 1 or 2 games a year, maybe 3 at the most, but that was a few years ago. But usually me and my best friend have a tradition on going on the 4th of July. Obviously a few years back, it was the Orioles. Last year, it was the Pirates. This year, the Blue Jays. And if you ended up watching the game yesterday, what kind of game it was. And we ended up winning 11-0. It was probably one of the most entertaining games I've ever been a part of. To be able to see, Robles get a hit, Cole Young to score early, making it 1-0. Then Randy Arozarena with bases loaded with a grand salami up 5-0. Then Dominic Canzone getting a 2-run jack, making it 7-0. Or 8-0, or 7-0 at that point, I believe 7 or 8. And then obviously the big 3-run blast when it was 8-0 to be able to get it to 11-0 by the big dumper Cal Raleigh. So to be able to get a grand salami, a 3-run jack, and a 2-run bomb in the same game. Pretty incredible. And again, I had a fantastic time. And again, hopefully we'll be able to carry over that momentum from yesterday to today. And we do have an exclusive that is not on Mariners TV today. It is a exclusive on Peacock. So for all those individuals that have Mariners TV that maybe don't subscribe to Peacock, no worries. I got you here. And if you do have Peacock, you can obviously watch along with me. Obviously, if you ended up watching this series, we lost the first game in kind of a poor effort, 2-0. Castillo pitched well, but we just didn't really have the bats going. Yesterday was the complete opposite. Logan Gilbert with a one-hitter. We ended up scoring 11 runs. Everything was, as beautiful as it possibly could be. And again, hopefully we'll be able to win this series. We are in first place at the moment. Again, a half game up on the Rangers, and hopefully we'll be able to continue our success after we have the day off tomorrow, and then we go on a road trip to play the Marlins and the Rays, and then we go into the All-Star game and those festivities with the Home Run Derby, which I will be doing here on the channel, and the All-Star game. So again, fantastic start, 1-0, obviously with Robles scoring Cole Young, a grand salami by Randy, making it 6-0. Obviously, 2-run jack by Dom, making it 8-0, and a 3-run jack by Cal Raleigh, making it 11-0. So we got Ryan Rowland-Smith and Aaron Goldsmith on the Peacock broadcast, which is great. So I was kind of nervous that it was going to end up being some randoms, calling the game, but we actually have our own, Mariner announcers calling it on Peacock. That's fantastic, and I'm very excited about this opportunity. Tortoise in the building. What's good? Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40 plus for Rick Riz, the legend and icon. He is retiring after this season, so we will dedicate every stream to one of my favorites of all time, Rick Riz. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic 4th of July with a lot of fun. And again, it was an incredible experience. And I don't think a lot of people could tell, on the broadcast on what they were able to do. They had a marching band since we had our 250th anniversary for the United States. That's something that the Mariners have never done. They had a car show, obviously in pregame with a lot of muscle cars, obviously going around, the stadium, which was really cool. They even had the military band, sing a few songs throughout the game as well. And again, we had some really amazing jerseys with kind of the USA theme, like you can see on my S on the back of the jerseys. It was just an incredible experience. The Blue Jay fans were very, very present. I mean, it kind of felt like it was 50-50 in there. And they were very loud and they were talking a lot. But once Randy Arozarena hit that grand salami, you didn't hear them talk a whole lot after that when they were down 6-0. And again, to lose 2-0 in game one when Castillo pitched well, it was a little heartbreaking, to lose, when Castillo finally did pretty good, in back-to-back starts, and then you explode. But I was telling my best friend, that I thought we were going to score 5 to 8 runs, even after putting up a 0 the day before. Because if you go up and look at the history of the Mariners at home on the 4th of July, vibes are very high. Everyone's very patriotic, whether it's for Canada or for USA in this case, because we're playing the Blue Jays today, obviously, and yesterday as well. So you had the Canadian national anthem. You had obviously the national anthem here as well. And again, anytime you end up getting the Blue Jays coming to Seattle, a lot of people are driving down from Vancouver, BC, as well as all over the globe. And again, it was very, very packed, with a lot of Toronto fans, and they were very loud, within the first couple innings, but they definitely got real quiet after Randy hit that grand salami. And congratulations to Randy Arozarena at the moment is our only representative in the All-Star game. Too bad Bryce Miller doesn't have enough innings under his belt. Otherwise, he would be in. Cole Young, obviously, would be a guy that you could consider based off his stats as a reserve, but he'll probably have to wait till next year to be able to maybe get the nod. And obviously, Julio Rodriguez is always a fan favorite, but since he's hurt at the moment, I don't know if they're going to, have him come in if someone decides to opt out, but we will see. Every single dono that we get to the channel, like we got from Dank, will go towards the Paisley Pup Vet Fund. I had an emergency vet visit a couple days ago that cost me $400. So anything that we can get dono-wise, the entire month will go towards that to kind of bail me out, of a tough situation. So I appreciate you guys very much. Sean in the building. Hope you and the puppers are good. Man, it felt like we were overseas here, at my place, just based on the amount of fireworks. I know it's the 250th anniversary, but it felt like we were in a war zone, and I have never heard it as loud as it was. And I imagine it was very loud wherever you are watching at home, no matter where you are around the globe, but especially if you are on the West Coast. Man, crazy, crazy times. And if you have dogs, obviously, they don't like fireworks and whatnot. So I had to try to, cater to Paisley the best way that I could after being gone for about 12 hours. But it was great to be able to see her. And hopefully we'll be able to get the dub here today. Sean in the building, what's good? Dank in the building, what's good? Happy Independence Day from yesterday. And thank you so much. We're at 5 on the Dono train, 95 to go. We are 100 subs away from 24,500, which is very, very exciting. And we're about to get ready to go into first pitch. Daniel in the building. What's good? Tortoise in the building. Chris in the building. Logan Gilbert with a one-hitter. It was incredible. It was probably the funnest game that I've ever been a part of. It was awesome. First pitch from Hancock to Nathan Lucas. Takes a strike looking low and away. 0-1 count. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour. And I'm really happy about 30 minutes before the game started yesterday, they decided to abandon the piggyback. And that was the smart choice. Logan has been on fire in his last 7 starts. And again, if they would have brought Hancock in, who knows what would have happened. So I like the decision there. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hancock to Nathan Lucas. We had great pitching. We had great hitting, a grand salami, a 3-run jack, and a 2-run bomb. You couldn't have asked for a better experience on the 4th of July. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down Lucas goes. And we like that. Emerson Hancock starting off strong with an exclusive broadcast here on Peacock. Way to bring the electricity. Down goes Nathan Lucas, and that is 1 away. Next up, in the 2-hole, first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Angry in the building. What's good? Yeah, I've only been to maybe 10 games total, and I've gotten 3 balls. But even though I didn't get a ball, my best friend, we didn't get really any opportunities for any foul balls to get into our area. But as far as experience, definitely probably the funnest game I've been a part of. A hard hit ball there into left field. Off the wall. Get it, Randy. Hustle. 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 And actually a somewhat of a decent throw, but still safe there off the relay into second base. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with a stand-up double. I kind of feel bad that I wasn't being able to, call the game, obviously here. But I think everyone can understand, you got to be able to, get a chance to be able to go to at least a game or two if you are a hardcore fan and have the finances to go. And, it's been a tradition for us to go on the 4th of July 3 years in a row. And I'm very happy with the results that we got yesterday. You couldn't have asked for a better ass whooping. So, especially after losing 2-0 in game 1 and winning 11-0 after that. First pitch, big swing and a miss there from Hancock to Okamoto, who is number 1 in home runs with 19 on the Blue Jays, more than George Springer, who's on paternity leave, more than Vladimir Guerrero Jr., more than Ernie Clement, more than anybody on the team for a rookie from Japan like Munetaka Murakami from the White Sox. It's very impressive. 0-1 pitch popped up, and that's in shallow center field. Robles is there, and that is 2 away. Good defense there by Victor Robles. And he'll do a great job in center field. And great to be able to see his bat starting to heat up a little bit too. Down goes Kazuma Okamoto, the Japanese phenom. And next up in the 4-hole, catcher Alejandro Kirk. And let's keep Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at second, stranded. And hopefully we can get on the board early and often. But it's the first time that I was able to see Cole Young and Colt Emerson, in a game together. Same thing with my best friend. Little slow dribbler there towards third. JP is there. Make it a good throw. And got it right to Josh Naylor's glove. And that is out number 3. So, and we did get a bunt, and again, like I mentioned, when I'm watching the game and, in that section and right off first base. I was hoping that we would bunt at least once or twice. We did. Victor Robles got that big hit up the middle. Cole Young scored. Obviously, the throw at home was a little off, so thankfully Cole was safe. Then Randy Arozarena with the grand salami. Crowd was going crazy. And then, Dominic Canzone. Right. And it was funny, too, because me and my best friend predicted that Dom and Cal would both homer, and they did. And then obviously after Dom's 2-run jack, a little bit later, we had the Cal 3-run bomb. And it's kind of creepy because I whispered to him, before Cal hit the home run, I said, this is going to be a 3-run bomb right here. And then 15 seconds later, when the pitch came home, we looked up because we were right off first base and we thought it was going to go foul. But luckily it was fair. And again, what an incredible experience. They had a marching band on the field. They had a car show. They even had military personnel singing songs, in between the innings. It was a really cool experience because of the 250th anniversary. The jerseys were fire. Obviously, with the USA theme, like the S on my hat on the back. You ended up having Team USA for the soccer national men's team sign Cal Raleigh's vest that he would wear, the chest protector. Vibes were just on a whole nother level. And I know you guys probably felt some of those vibes on TV, but I'm telling you, being there was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever been a part of. And it's the second most runs that we've scored all year. We scored 12 against the White Sox and won 12-6, but we haven't blown out a team 11-0 like we did yesterday. So it was a really cool thing to be a part of. And I know you guys, I was checking all the messages on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, on the YouTube channel, chat, and obviously on my post. And obviously really appreciate all the kind words. And again, what an incredible game. I'm glad to be back. It was definitely a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that, we can end up getting the series win. We got the day off tomorrow. And then obviously we start a series with the Marlins and then the Rays. Then we go into the home run derby and the All-Star game. Randy Arozarena, our representative. Maybe we'll get Julio or another player that might be a reserve backup if someone decides that they don't want to play. So we'll see. But again, I'm very excited to be able to see how this one goes. Kenna in the building. Chris in the building. Hawks in the building. What's good? Dank in the building. Let's get it. 1-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Low and at the knees. And a challenge here. Yes, we do finish away on the break. We have to play the Marlins and the Rays, which is not really ideal because both those teams are pretty good. Obviously Rays are one of the best in the American League, and Miami, they ended up having the best record in June. So we'll see how that goes. I hope that we can end up winning 2 out of 3 in both, but again, it could go sideways. I'm not saying that we're going to go 0-6, in those 6 games, but not really exactly what you want before the break. But hopefully we can end up winning 2 out of 3 in both and, finish on a high note. 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Savage to Crawford. 2-1 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 92 miles an hour. 3 balls and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. And we got Trey Savage, the up-and-coming rookie stud that helped them get to the World Series at the end of the year last year on the mound. And we got J.P. Crawford in the box with a Peacock exclusive. Pitches inside, and we get a walk from J.P. Let's go. Good job there by J.P. Crawford. We already know he's the most patient hitter on the team. Yeah, he does have some errors at third base, but most of the time he'll make up for it. And next up in the 2-hole, left fielder Randy Arozarena had one of the best games in his career. And not only that, he ended up getting the All-Star invite as a reserve. And so at least we have one Mariner in the All-Star game. And that's kind of odd to say that we only have one, because normally we're used to having, a pitcher or 2, and as well as a positional player or 2. Usually it's like 3 to 4 guys that are represented. But yeah, we did have kind of an off year, up and down, and injuries galore. But at least we have Randy, and we'll see if they end up adding someone else. Now, if Bryce Miller had enough innings under his belt and started at the beginning of the year, you would best believe he would be in it. And obviously Julio is always popular, so we'll see if he gets in. And Cole Young, obviously with his stat line, even though he's young, like his name, he definitely could have been one of the reserves as well. So 0-2 pitch. Low and at the knees with a splitter. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Trey Savage to Randy Arozarena. Sean with a tenner. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Paisley's doing good. You know, it's kind of crazy. I have so much love for her that I was enjoying myself at the game, but I was actually kind of thinking about her throughout the game on how she was doing. And, you know, obviously when I got back, it was before all the, you know, crazy fireworks were really going crazy. But as Randy gets a little blooper into left and not enough and caught, and JP hustles back to first. But again, I've been a part of a lot of, you know, fireworks in the neighborhood and going to locations to watch. I have never heard so many fireworks go off by so many different people, you know, ever. It felt like, you know, we were in a war zone, like literally, you know, a lot of illegal fireworks all over the place. And, you know, obviously if you have a dog, you understand that dogs hate fireworks unless they're like deaf, and then they obviously can't hear them. But, you know, I tried to be able to comfort her the best that I can. And she still has the cone and still taking 3 medications, but it seems like she's starting to, you know, slowly but surely get better, but she's still going to have to wear this cone for another 2 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. First pitch is low and away from you, Savage to Raleigh, 1-0 count. Julie in the building, what's good? All day in the building, what's good? 1-0 pitch, popped up and out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike from you, Savage to Raleigh. And I kind of knew that Cal was going to hit a home run yesterday because he hit 2 home runs in the 4th of July game last year. We had 2 home runs by Cal, you know, 1 by Randy and 1 by Dylan Moore, out of all people. So I knew that coming into the game, I didn't know how many were going to be hit, but, you know, me and my best friend predicted Cal and Dom would hit home runs. They both did, which was creepy. We had no idea Randy was going to hit a grand salami. That was mind-blowing. And, man, there was a lot of Blue Jay fans there. I mean, I've been at games where it's like the Dodgers come to town, and I've been to a Yankee game, you know, lots of Yankee fans there, but lots of Blue Jay fans, and they were very rowdy and very talkative for the first couple innings. But once we hit that grand salami, they didn't really talk a whole lot after that. So deservedly so. You did get a few drunk ones, you know, when they were down 6-0 still chirping. But, I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, you're down 6-0, bud. You know, you have no reason to be talking. You already won game 1, 2-0, you know. But, again, 4th of July drinking vibes, I guess, for those people in Canada. Big swing and a miss there by the big dumper, high and away, and that is 2 away. We're going to bring out the Moose early and often because we need all the luck that we can handle and get. Down goes the big dumper, and hopefully he'll be able to connect on at least one later in the game for an RBI or a home run. Next up is Nails, Josh Naylor with JP at first. First pitch is low and away. 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, 1-0 count. And this game is not on Mariners TV, so if you obviously subscribe to that and are wondering where the heck is the game is exclusive on Peacock. Sometimes they'll do Peacock and NBC, but this one is exclusive on Peacock, and they only have about 4 of them this year. So it's not like a lot on this particular app and whatnot, but it is one that I decided to subscribe to for just a few months to make sure that we have access to this. 1-0 pitch, low and away, 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, 2 balls and no strikes from you, Savage to Naylor. You know what's crazy? We didn't get one. So we ended up getting there. They opened the doors at 11:10 a.m., right? And when we got to the front of the line, it was probably 11:20, 11:25. And normally in like 20 minutes after the gates open, you still are having access. If there's 30 or 40,000 people there and they're giving away 10,000 bucket hats, right? You get one. And we were only, maybe 15 minutes after the doors opened when we got to the front of the line, and there was no hats left in our section there in the front of the building. Line drive to first, and that is out number 3, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. making that catch on Josh Naylor. So I was kind of disappointed, that we didn't get one. It's the first time that me and my best friend did not get the item, that was given away. We've gotten bobbleheads every time. We've gotten hats like the one I'm wearing right now and the one 4th of July hat from last year. And for whatever reason, I mean, I'm not even really a bucket hat guy anyways, but it still would have been cool, to get one. But I was actually looking, in the section where I was sitting like right off first base, about 20 rows back. There wasn't really a lot of people that had them. There was 3 ladies right in front of us that were very cool. That high-fived and were like, very engaged in the game, that, were talking with us and whatnot. like a grandma and her daughters, I believe, that were very cool, but they had the bucket hats on, but there wasn't really anyone else in the sections around us in section 119 that there was really that many. So I don't really know if they even gave away 10,000 hats, bucket hats. I don't think so. I think they may have, said 10,000, but maybe it was like 5,000, because it didn't really seem like there was that many. And it was a little shocking because it's like, the game started at 1:10. They opened the doors supposedly at 11:10, 2 hours early. We got to the front of the line at 11:25. So you're telling me in 15 minutes, all the hats were gone? I find that really hard to believe, but again, it's not like it would be one of those hats I would be really wearing on stream. It's not like I'd be wearing it in public. It would have just been one of those items that, I wouldn't even have worn it at the game. I just would have had it in a bag, but it just would have been cool to have that extra memorabilia. But we have plenty of memories, from that game. 11-0, grand salami from Randy, right? 3-run bomb by Cal, 2-run jack by Dom. I got the chance to, do the in and out for the very first time on the way back in Ridgefield. Amazing. I totally understand, why people are, about that, but it really depends on what you order. And I can also see why some people may not like some of the things, like, the fries. You want to make sure you get them crispy, rather than just like kind of the soggy regular style and whatnot. Little slow dribbler there towards first, flip back to Hancock, toe tap on the bag, and down goes Dalton Varsho. And that is one away. And I ended up getting the Neapolitan shake, 10 out of 10. I got a 3x3, with the triple, and it was amazing. So again, I don't really have any complaints, but I also got a side of fries with the animal style. But again, I feel like with the grilled onions and the cheese and everything that's there, that once that top layer is gone, then the fries underneath are too soggy and you don't really finish it. So I feel like the fries that are like crispy, they almost are like hollow and they have a nice crunch to them. Those are the ones that I really enjoyed, but I definitely would be willing to go back and get another meal down the road. First pitch from Hancock to Ernie Clement, the all-star second baseman and shortstop, takes a strike looking inside, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and away with a sweeper, 77 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Hancock to Clement. And we ended up getting some amazing pizza, at the game. And it was like a honey glazed, pepperoni and sausage pizza. Incredible. One of the best I've ever had. And again, we were going to go and do hot dogs and whatnot, but we thought pizza would be better. So, and I normally don't eat food like that, but it definitely, it was a memory to be made for sure. Pitch fouled off there by Ernie Clement with a sweeper right down the middle, 76 miles an hour, 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. 0-0 here early, Blue Jays and Mariners. Line drive into left into Randy. He's busy today, and we don't want to see too many ground balls go to Randy because we know that he's kind of a liability. There's only 2 knocks on Randy. Him hustling to first base and the hustle once he actually gets to the ground ball, and then obviously throwing the ground ball after you get it, into the infield. It's usually just little lobs, not lasers. So we've already had a couple hits go to Randy already, and hopefully we won't get too many more. Nice single there by Ernie Clement. Let's keep him stranded. Next up is Sean Keys. Oh, I know. I mean, I've been there with certain. I mean, the bobblehead lines are the longest out of anything. Julio Rodriguez's first bobble, or any of the old school ones like Ichiro's first bobble. I mean, I know. Griffey bobbles, like, if it ends up being someone that is an OG player, Edgar, Randy Johnson, Griffey, Ichiro, I mean, it's as long can be. And then if it ends up being one of our stars like Cal or Julio, you better get there really, really early. But I was kind of shocked. It's the first time that I've gone to a game and not got the giveaway. And it's not like we were late, and got there. We were in line at the right time, but supposedly they ran out in the entrance that we were at. But I find that really, really hard to believe. I mean, it's like, what did they have in the main entrance? What did they have, like 100 bucket hats and then call it a day? Like, I don't know. It was a little wild, but I didn't really see too many people with them on. So I don't think they gave away 10,000. I think that number was off. Big swing and a miss, and down goes Keys. And that is 2 away. Down goes Keith. Next up is the former Seattle Mariner in the 8-hole, second baseman Luis Urias. .375 average, 1 homer and 2 ribbies, only with limited action here with the Blue Jays. And I'm glad they didn't do the piggyback. I was, checking all of the social media, and they decided to scrap it about 30 minutes before the game started, which was smart. And a nice catch there by Colt Emerson, and we leave another runner stranded. So obviously they've been a little bit more on point early, but again, it's nothing that we can't overcome. And then John Olerud, man, that was one of my favorites. A great Blue Jay and a great Mariner. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Let's go to the bottom of the second inning and let's see if we can take a early lead. Next up in the 5-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. Let's see if we can get a nuke out of Luke. Batting second in the 6-hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. And batting third in the 7-hole, catcher Mitch Garver. And I was always, keeping an eye on jerseys, right? So in the whole stadium, as I was walking around, I was hoping to see some Cole Youngs and Colt Emersons, even though they're rare. And let me tell you, I saw 0 Emersons, not even one. It shows you how rare some of those, newer jerseys are. And I only saw 2 Cole Young jerseys. I saw a regular white screen print on a guy that was like a few rows down from me. And then, believe it or not, I don't know where, this individual got it. He must have got it at the team store, in the stadium, or at one of the stores in Seattle. But he had a steel-head Cole Young sewn jersey. And that was incredible to see that, because I didn't even know those existed yet for Cole Young. Unless it ends up being one of those like China knockoffs. But I mean, from far away, it looked legit. But I mean, I couldn't really, get too close because it was, about 10 rows away when I spotted it. But again, pretty cool. And obviously the next 2 jerseys, are definitely going to be Cole Young and Colt Emerson for me. But I'm thinking maybe Cole Young teal and then maybe Colt Emerson blue, because I don't have either of those colors. I do think the steelhead jersey is pretty dope, but that would probably be after the teal and the blue for me. So, all right, let's go to the bottom of the second inning and let's see if we can get this party started. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 2-0 game 1 after Castillo pitched well, but the offense didn't do anything. And then yesterday, a 1-hitter by Logan Gilbert. And then we had a grand salami by Randy Arozarena. Welcome to the All-Star game, Randy. Then we had a 2-run jack by Dominic Canzone. And a 3-run bomb by Cal Raleigh. So, and then obviously an RBI as well by Victor Robles to score Young. Robles scoring Cole Young for the first run of the game, as everyone watched that yesterday. 0-1 pitch, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour by the up-and-coming stud Trey Savage. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the second inning, 0-0 Blue Jays and Mariners. Bricks and joysticks in the building. What's good? Yes, he was. Spokane, you hit it right on the head. And it's cool to be able to see people that have Northwest ties in either Oregon or Washington or both. And then also to be a part of the Blue Jays and the Mariners. And I don't think there's any Mariner fan that has anything negative to say about John Olerud. I mean, he was awesome. Obviously a lot of people remember him wearing the batting helmet at first and just his style. And anytime you get a lefty that has that swagger and style about him, it definitely is one of those memories that sticks with you forever. Pitch fouled off, low and away. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Trey Savage to Luke Raley. I did, and I didn't get a ball. And unfortunately, I stood up on every attempt, after the inning ended. And usually JP Crawford is the one that throws the baseballs, behind the dugout into the crowd, but there was none that even came close to our area, unfortunately. So, but I tried to get one for my best friend, but there's nothing there, and no foul balls came even close to us. And a nice hard hit ball. Go, go, go. Run, baby, run. Wow, Luke Raley. Stand up double, hitting the wall. Oh, I didn't see any. I saw 0 Emersons. So, I was looking, but I only saw 2 Cole Youngs, but 0 Emersons, and I walked all over the place. And I did see an old grandpa with a Jay Buhner, a very similar jersey that I have, Russell Athletic, the vested, with the turtleneck that they wore in 95 and 97. And he didn't have the matching turtleneck to go with it, but it was like the vested jerseys with no sleeves. And he had a sewn Buhner, and those are rare, like the Griffey that I have. Those usually run $300, $400, $500. And that was a cool thing to see. Little slow dribbler towards first, moving the runner over, and Young is out, and that is 1 away. And nice job there by Cole, rounding out to second to at least get Rayleigh to third. And next up is Mitch Garber. Let's see if Mitch can come up with an unexpected hit or an RBI, or maybe take a walk. If he gets hit by a pitch and doesn't get hurt, I would be willing to have that happen as well. First pitch is low and away with a slider, 85 miles an hour, low and away. Bottom of the second inning, runner at third, Luke Rayleigh with 1 out. And this is a global experience on Peacock, not on Mariners TV. And I know not everyone has access to Peacock or is willing to subscribe to it. They only have, I believe, 4 games that are exclusive to Peacock. Some of them are Peacock and NBC, but this is one of the ones that's only on Peacock. So, but if you don't have access to Peacock, I always will. So I can cover you here. And if you do have Peacock, you can watch along. Pitch is inside, 2 balls and no strikes to Mitch Garver. Callie in the building. What's good? Two-0 pitch, low and at the knees. 3 balls and no strikes from Yasavage to Garver. Take the walk, Garv, if you can get it. Three-0 pitch, high and inside with a 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour. 3 balls and 1 strike to Mitch Garver. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. And again, any donos that we get, not only today, but all month long, will go towards that Paisley Pup Vet Fund, where I had that unexpected emergency vet visit that cost me $400 a couple days ago. So anything that can be done would be greatly appreciated, not only today, but this whole month, to kind of help cover that emergency situation that happened. And again, we just ended up hitting our 24,400 number. So we're 100 subs away from 24,500. And again, 600 away from 25,000, which is exciting. 3-2 pitch, and Garver strikes out looking. ABS challenge there, but I think he's out. Yep, and he is. How do you go 3-0 and then strike out? Come on, Garver. If you got a 3-0 count, you should have been able to get on with a walk. That's not ideal. 3-0 and you can't even get on. Yikes. All right, and that is 2 away. Now we got to hope that Colt Emerson can get going here. Let's go, Colt. First pitch to Emerson. Big swing and a miss, high and away. 0-1 count. Yeah, I mean, she's still wearing the cone and on 3 different medications and whatnot, but she's not throwing up anymore. And obviously they had to shave off, a part of her tail and give some medication there because she was biting her tail on like a hot spot and whatnot. And, it's like, healing and whatnot, but it seems like, she's getting better and whatnot. So, I'm still trying to take her for walks, but not as long. And, obviously it was like a war zone here with all the fireworks, and that would kind of drove her crazy yesterday. But, you got to do it. You got to go through it, once a year with the, but again, some people have fireworks that, they do them a couple days before, on the 4th of July, sometimes a couple days after. So 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Emerson, and we leave that runner stranded at third. That's disappointing. And, Emerson is one of those guys that he has so much talent, but he's been in a little bit of a mini slump in the box. He's been pretty damn good defensively, diving catches and making throws to Naylor and, saving Castillo from a 2-0 to a 3-0. But as far as like in the box, I was able to see him get a hit yesterday with Cole Young, but it just seems like he's pressing just a little bit. So we will see. Well, vet visits cost a lot. I mean, again, if you actually have a dog and you go to a vet and they obviously are a good vet, it's usually going to cost, $200 to $500 per visit, depending on what they do. If it gets an annual visit, depending on like what shots and things need to be done, or, procedures that need to be done. Like my first visit, I had 3 visits at the vet in 3 months. I usually have 1 visit a year. And my first visit was like $450. And then my second visit was like, I think like $250. And then the last one was $400. So it was like pretty much $1,100 or pretty close to $1,100 that I've had to spend in 3 months. And that's way out of my pocketbook range. Like, it's definitely, making it very, very challenging for me because I didn't have that budgeted at all. So, but she is my number one priority in life. I got to be a good dog father, and I got to, make sure that, my dog daughter is healthy and happy. And, you got to make sure that, things are okay. But it was the annual checkup, that happened around March. And then in May, almost to June, she got her first ear infection in her life. And so obviously you have the ear infection, and then you have the diagnosis, and then you have the medication. And then I had to go back and get more medication after the medication ran out, and she was still kind of, shaking her head and scratching, that ear, and it was getting irritated again. And then I thought, okay, everything is done. And then starts throwing up, a few days ago, 3 days in a row, and then biting her tail, acting weird and whatnot. And, so I guess it's just a little unlucky, I guess. But again, I got to do my best to be the best dog father I can be. So first pitch to Pinyango popped up and flies out to left. Randy Rosarina, the all-star, is there, and that is 1 away. Down goes Yohendrick Pinyango with the little pop-up there to left. Next up is leadoff hitter, right fielder Nathan Lucas. Yeah, my vet bill probably would have been about $300, but they had to put her under, for the procedure and whatnot. And anytime you do anesthesia, that's like an extra $100, on there and whatnot. So, just one of those things. It's like you can't really predict, how the health of your cat or dog is going to go. And it's not like Paisley's old; she's only 4.5. But again, as dogs and cats get a little bit older, things happen. And I take care of her very, very well. It's just, I guess, a little bit of bad luck, I guess. 1-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hancock to Lucas. 2 balls and 1 strike from Hancock to Lucas. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any kids of my own, so essentially she's my daughter, my dog daughter. So, and she is the most important thing to me in my entire life. Obviously, this channel is up there as well. The 2 most important things in my life. I put so much time and energy and passion, into this channel, and a lot of energy and love and attention, to Paisley as well. And, I just got to do the very best that I can. 2-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Lucas. 2-2 pitch, fouled back to the T-Mobile bricks. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour there by Emerson Hancock. Count now is 2 balls, 2 strikes from Hancock to Lucas. 2-2 pitch, low and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Hancock. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the third, 0-0, Blue Jays and Mariners. Popped up. Robles is there. And that is 2 away. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, and it's not necessarily just Hancock. You could pretty much say that for almost every pitcher for a good chunk of this year. It's not like we've been really the greatest hitting team consistently. We have moments, like we did yesterday, but for every game that we score, 4, 6, 8, or 11, we might end up going on a slump like we did just earlier, where we would score 0-3 for 12 or 13 games in a row. So not just Hancock, but again, a lot of our pitchers, if we actually could get to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits on a regular basis, we probably would have a couple all-stars in the game. And if Bryce Miller would have been able to start at the regular start of the season, he definitely would be an all-star. He just doesn't qualify based off his innings pitched. But I mean, Hancock obviously, has gotten done a little dirty by not getting enough run support and maybe not the greatest bullpen guys coming in. And obviously Dan Wilson isn't really the greatest manager and doesn't really have a feel, for the game either, but again, Wu and Kirby have been kind of up and down, but have started to get better. Castillo is our worst, but he's been pretty good in his last couple. Logan was not very good at the beginning of the year, but his last 7 starts, he's fucking on fire. So, we just got to do the best that we can. Little pop up. And right there to Cole Young, and that is out number 3. Great job there by Cole Young. And a lot of times, once we end up scoring more, than 5 runs, and if we end up having a huge day like yesterday where we scored 11, sometimes the next game we get 0-3 and sometimes 0-1. So let's hope that we don't do that. I still want to hopefully shoot for 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, but it also depends. Are we going against a lefty? Good or bad, win-loss record or ERA. And if we're not going against a lefty, right, are we going against a righty that's pretty good? And if that's the case, sometimes things are a little limited unless our guys can get going. And also, remember, out of the last 40 years in Seattle Mariner history, right, we have never had this many injuries with good players, in the starting lineup ever. We've never been this beat up. And so, I mean, essentially we could be, 10 or 15 games below 500 and have a record like the Angels. And thankfully with the talent that we have, that we're not in that boat. We're in first place. But again, one thing that you can really notice, besides the hitting not being consistent, as well as the pitching in the bullpen, right? The bullpen with no Carlos Vargas all year and no access to Cooper Criswell and Matt Brash, that's killing us. Because if we have 3 guys that are MLB guys, that means that we don't have to worry about Simpson, the lefty, or Rucker, the righty, or a Hoppy that's in AAA, but that was on the team, and guys like that, where we can kind of avoid the Nick Davila. He might be one of the better ones. He had an ERA of 0 for a good chunk. Now it's in the 2s, but he had a lot of walks. But essentially, we got 3 AAA guys in the pen where we could have all MLB guys. And no Vargas, no Criswell, no Brash. And yeah, we know sometimes Vargas is Bootios, but I would rather have him, than any of the AAA guys. And, maybe he would have been able to improve from where he was last year. So we just got to be able to, hopefully pick up a few at the deadline, and strengthen that bullpen for sure. First pitch to Victor Robles is high and away with a slider, 84 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, little line drive up the middle, just like yesterday. And that's the type of hit that scored Cole Young from third. Great job there by Victor Robles. And remember, before his injury last year, where he dove into the netting and the wall and messed up his arm and shoulder in San Francisco, he was batting around 300, but he hasn't really been the same hitter since the injury. But as of late, since Julio got hurt with the concussion, you have seen Victor start to ramp it up slightly in the box. We know he's great on defense, but again, good job there by Victor. Next up is JP Crawford. Let's go, JP. The most patient player on the team besides Dominic Canzone. And it has rubbed off on some of the other guys, but we do have a lot of overly aggressive hitters. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Randy, Raleigh, Naylor, Rayleigh, we need guys to be patient. And it just seems like it's either a strikeout or, once in a blue moon, a home run or an RBI or a single or double. But, it just kind of depends on who's playing on the mound for the other team. 2-0 pitch, low and away. Count now is 3 balls and no strikes to JP Crawford. Great at bat here. Don't do a Mitch Garver and have a 3-0 count and then strike out. Let's go. Yeah, but, Cal got hurt. They overplayed him last year, and then he did the All-Star game. He won the home run derby, ended up doing the WBC, and almost everyone that did the WBC didn't really have a great start to the year, not just Mariner players, but league-wide. So, again, catcher is the hardest position in baseball, in my opinion. Do you have to be a good hitter? You have to be a leader. You have to be a good defender. You got to throw guys out, and squatting on your knees for 2 to 3 hours. There's not very many guys that could do that. So, and remember, when he hit the 60 home runs, the most home runs prior to that was 38 all time by Salvador Perez. So you can't expect, Cal to hit 60 and do it again. There was a good chance that, he was going to have a lower year, and it's just unfortunate that, he got hurt. So, and it's not just like Cal's the only one that's gotten hurt. Hell, almost everyone in the fucking starting lineup has been hurt at least once this year. It's the most injuries we've had, and it's not just one person. I mean, a lot of guys in the pen, guys obviously in the starting lineup, backups, it's been a wild, crazy year as JP takes the walk and Robles goes to second. Yeah, so you get it. You got the pups and you got the cats. So, I mean, again, people that maybe don't have, those in their life now or maybe did in the past, again, and there's probably, cheaper options, that are out there that have shittier vets, that are going to charge you less and do a shittier job. But, I want to make sure that, I go somewhere that I've gone, since the beginning of her life. And, I want to go somewhere that I feel comfortable. Little dribbler towards third, throw to first. And down goes Randy Arozarena, but he actually hustled towards first, which I like to see. Remember the first time that Randy hustled the first? This season, what happened? He ended up, tweaking the Achilles, the hamstring. So, but again, I want to see Randy hustle. I mean, if Randy would just hustle the first base all the time, and hustle on ground balls and throw lasers instead of lobs into the infield, he probably would be like a top 20, top 25 player in baseball. It's just effort is the thing that's lacking. Hard hit ball into right. Line drive is caught. Tag up. Go, 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 go. Yes. Woo! And Victor Robles slides in head first. 1-0 M's. Let's go. Nice job there by Cal Raleigh, not Luke Raley. Nice job there by Cal. Cal Raleigh, they moved him in the batting order, kind of flip-flopping some of the guys every few days here. And a head-first effort by Victor Robles, kind of like Cole Young, feet first yesterday after the Robles hit up the middle. And it's great to have guys that have speed like Robles and Cole Young and Colt Emerson that that you're going to have a chance if it's going to be a close play at home. And you just got to hope the throw was a little bit off by Okamoto, what it was yesterday for Young to score. And a great job there by Victor Robles. 1-0 M's. Let's go. Next up is Josh Naylor. First pitch popped up into left, and he's probably struggled maybe the most, on just being way overly aggressive, swinging on the first two pitches and usually popping out. And it's a wasted at bat. If you want to get the pitch count up, you got to be able to work the count a little bit. And then if you're looking for that beautiful pitch right down the middle, it's usually going to be pitch 4, pitch 5, pitch 6. But if you're impatient and you're just swinging at the first two pitches and you flying out and popping out, you're doing a disservice to your own stat line and the team. You got to be better. And it's like, if you want to try that approach once, then switch it up. But don't do the same thing every fucking at bat for the whole game. And every once in a blue moon, it may end up working. Like we've seen when Julio, he's been one of those guys where Julio may end up swinging at the first pitch. And yeah, he might be able to get 3 hits out of 5 at-bats, but Julio is not Josh Naylor, And again, we've also seen Julio swing at the first pitch, roughly almost every at-bat, and sometimes he'll go 0 for 4, 0 for 5. So, I like patience. I like hustle, and I like guys that work the count like JP and Dom, and it's really benefited them this year, and hopefully that'll rub off on some of the other guys. And I get it. These guys are hungry. They want home runs, but again, Randy, Cal Raleigh, Naylor, Raley, we know they have home run power, but if you're going to bail the pitcher out, you're doing yourself and the Mariners a disservice. But, who's not doing yourself a disservice? Victor Robles, baby, getting in at home, 1-0 at the end of the third inning. Great job there by Victor. Great job there by Cal, getting at least the sac fly. Good job, Cal. Let's go to the top of the fourth inning and see who's up next here for the Blue Jays. Next up for the Blue Jays, their number one home run hitter, believe it or not, from Japan, Kazuma Okamoto, who's at 19 home. A very similar number to Munetaka Murakami before he pulled his hamstring for the White Sox. He's got a few more. Batting second in the 4-hole, catcher Alejandro Kirk, and batting third in the 5-hole, center fielder Dalton Varsho. Tridents up. Let's go M's. First pitch to Okamoto, takes a big swing and a miss, high and inside. 0-1 count. Let him know, Chris. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Oh, 1 pitch, low and at the knees. Sweeper, 75 miles an hour there by Emerson Hancock. 1 ball and 1 strike from Hancock to Okamoto. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and inside. Nasty sweeper. And usually with Hancock and his sweepers, they go low and away, not high and inside. So that's kind of something that's a little new for him within the last few starts. 75 miles an hour, high and inside. Because if you throw sweepers inside, you have a good chance of hitting the batter. So you got to be careful. And 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and a big punch out there by Emerson Hancock. Nice job, M. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, high and inside. Way to bring that electricity, Emerson Hancock. All right, next up in the top of the 4th inning is Alejandro Kirk, who is 0 for 1. First pitch is low and at the knees with the sinker, 94 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Grounded out in the first inning. Definitely feels like it's going to be a little bit more of a grind, with Trey Savage on the mound. Obviously we were able to rough up the Blue Jays pitching yesterday, which I had a feeling that we would. But obviously in game 1 and game 3, pitchers a little stronger. And we saw how good Trey Savage as a rookie last year, really balled out at the end of the year. And was one of the deciding factors of getting that team to the World Series. Blue Jays challenge and overturned. 2 balls and no strikes to Alejandro Kirk. Jack in the building, what's good? Tony in the building, what's good? Yeah, I mean, I've only been to, about maybe 10 games, and I've gotten 3 baseballs out of 10 games. I didn't get a chance to get one for me or my best friend yesterday, but it definitely was probably the funnest experience, considering like half the stadium was Blue Jay fans, and they were very chirpy and loud and talking a lot, in the first couple innings. But once Randy hit the grand slam, the grand salami, they definitely shut up pretty quick after that. So you still had a few drunk ones chirping, but what are you going to say? You're down 6-0. Anything that you say is not really relevant at that point. You're just being drunk and annoying. So, but yeah, it was amazing. I mean, we had the Robles RBI from Cole Young scoring from third, 1-0. Grand salami by Randy, at that point, making it 5-0, and then adding on the Dom, blast and the Cal Raleigh 3-run jack, and then winning 11-0. I mean, it's the second most runs we've scored all year. We scored 12 against the White Sox, but it was 12-6 in a victory earlier in the year. But we haven't won like that all year. And normally you don't win like that ever for the Mariners. 11-0 with a 1-hitter by Gilbert. So it was, one of the most memorable days for me and my best friend. Absolutely. And it's our third 4th of July game in a row. And, they are undefeated on the 4th of July when we go. So we beat the Orioles 2 years ago, the Pirates last year, and then obviously Toronto yesterday. 3-2 pitch from Hancock. Little dribbler right in front of M. Underhand throw to Naylor, and that is 2 away. Shout out to all of our new subs, our female audience, as well as all of our OGs. And again, shout out to everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. We are global. And I usually don't really miss that many games out of the 162, maybe 2 a season, 1 maybe on Father's Day if I'm not able to get back in time. And then, usually on the 4th of July when I go to the game, and that's pretty much it. So we should be able to do every game for the rest of the year, including playoffs as well. So But, I think a lot of the fans of the channel would understand, I got to be able to go to at least a game. Usually, before I had Paisley, we would usually go to 2 or 3, and we would stay at a nice hotel and do a Friday, Saturday game and come back Sunday. But since I have Paisley, I don't have that option anymore. So it's we try to go to a game at 1 o'clock on a Saturday or Sunday, and then we just drive back. That's really the only way that we can do it at this point. And 4th of July is a pretty special game. And hopefully the 4th of July game will be in Seattle next year, and then we can continue that streak. Pitches low and away with a sweeper. 1 ball and 1 strike from Hancock to Varsho. 1-1 pitch. High and inside with a sweeper. 75 miles an hour. High and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike from Hancock to Varsho. Yeah, if you guys want to, chime in about anything World Cup, I'm okay with that. It's one of those special events that only happens every, 4 years and whatnot. So it doesn't matter if it's not Team USA. And if you heard the news, the red card got pulled. So we are going to get our best player available tomorrow. And that definitely is going to increase the chances of Team USA being able to have a full roster and have their best player play. And hopefully we'll end up winning. So, but anything that you want to be able to update between the two of you, feel free. And then anything else you want to update, with the MLB, like Uma there with the Rangers, I don't have a problem with that either as well. I mean, if it ends up being sport related, it's all good here. I mean, we are sport fanatics here, so. Pitch fouled off and out of play, high and away, 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour. Count now is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Varsho. I mean, anything that has to do with the AL West, Rangers, Angels, Athletics, Astros, based on where we're at in the division is very appreciative. Anything that is World Cup newsworthy, goals, scores, updates, is very, newsworthy and okay. So, and obviously we've already heard on, how things have gone in the NBA, but that point has kind of already passed with a lot of the big signings of players on new teams. But, but when we usually do baseball, we stick to baseball for the most part, but stuff like the World Cup is definitely acceptable. Pitch popped up there by Varsho. Victor's there in center field doing a great job since Julio is in the 7-day concussion protocol, and that is out number 3. So they've had a couple, hits, and we've been able to keep them stranded, but they really haven't done anything too spectacular yet. And it definitely is a pitcher's duel with Savage and Hancock. And think about it. They were supposed to piggyback Gilbert and Hancock yesterday. And imagine with Gilbert with a no-hitter or a one-hitter, and what happens if Hancock comes in and then gets roughed up and we lose. So it was a really, and I haven't said this that often about Dan Wilson. Usually I'm criticizing him about his bonehead decisions on keeping a guy in too long, pulling a guy too soon, bringing in the wrong guy from the bullpen like AAA guys. But the decision 30 minutes before our first pitch to say, nope, we're not going to do the piggyback until maybe after the All-Star break. They were planning on doing it, once or twice, more, until we got to the break. But it sounds like they're not going to do it until maybe after. But honestly, they should just scrap it and then put Castillo in the pen. That way he only pitches a half inning or 2, not trying to pitch 6. But, he usually only has 1 inning of a meltdown anyways. But the last 2 starts from Castillo, he's been pretty damn good. It's usually a run or 2 only given up, but the offense, hasn't really bailed him out like Hancock, right? It's like as soon as you get a guy that, that is good, or a guy that's bad, like Castillo, and then all of a sudden he only gives up a run or 2, which is amazing for any of our guys, and then we put up a fucking 0, it sucks, It's like, oh, he finally did his job, but then the batters didn't do theirs, It's always one thing or another, with this team. It's like, oh, the pitching is good, but then the hitting disappears, or the hitting is great, oh, but we had 3 errors. It's always something, that is going sideways with us. Or, oh, starting pitching was great, hitting was great, defense is great. The bullpen, had a fucking meltdown, and then we lost, So, but at least for the most part, it seems like we're starting to kind of, lock and load, so to speak, but we'll see where it goes. First pitch from Savage to Luke Raley, low and at the knees. In there for a strike, 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Yeah, it was a concussion for Julio. That's why he's on the 7-day. If it was just precautionary, they would have sat him out maybe for just a game on game 1, and they would have had him play yesterday and today. So, he was in concussion protocol. He was dizzy after it happened, and they kept him in for an inning. And then we thought it was precautionary, but it looks like I don't think it was a major concussion. It was kind of a minor. So it was like a minor concussion and precautionary to go with it. And I don't know if he'll be out the full 7 days. We'll find out as we get closer to that date. As Rayleigh flies out to center, and that is 1 away. Yeah, when the game first started, there was so many Blue Jay jerseys and chants. It felt like, is this T-Mobile? Like, or are we in, Toronto? But again, after we got the grand salami, everything changed at that point. So when we were up 5-0, a lot of them, ended up being quiet. So first pitch from Savage to Young, takes a strike looking with a slider high and away, 0-1 count. Let's go, Cole. 0-1 pitch, fouled off towards first base and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. Yeah, there were still a few drunk, Blue Jay fans that were chirping when they were down 5-0, but not many. Only like the really obnoxious, drunk, annoying ones, but there wasn't really too many near my section, thankfully. I actually sat in front of, 3 ladies that were lucky enough to get the bucket hats. I think a grandma and her 2 daughters, and they were awesome. Like, if you looked at them, you would totally not assume that they would like jump up and down and high five and whatnot. And they were, doing that with me and my best friend and a few other people. And, that's the type of people you want to be next to. You don't want to be next to the annoying guy that's just sloppy drunk and just screaming and yelling, or a guy that isn't even a fan of either team and is just drunk and he's just there. It's not about just being at the game. It's also like who's sitting near you. And, all it takes is one asshole or idiot, to be drunk or to be annoying to kind of ruin an experience for you, whether it be at a, baseball game or at a concert or anything of that type of magnitude. But again, everything was just smooth sailing yesterday. I mean, awesome people next to us. The car ride was smooth, no accidents. Beautiful day, not too hot, not too cold. It was an amazing day for sure. 11-0, incredible. Pitch fouled off, low and away. Count still is 2 balls and 2 strikes from Savage to Cole Clutch Young. But again, I've been to a game, against the Dodgers, a few of them. And when the Dodgers fans come to town, some bandwagon and some real Dodger fans, I mean, they take over the stadium. Same thing with the Yankees, with their bandwagon fans and real ones, they take over. And it feels kind of like 50-50 or 60-40. And a little dribbler up the middle. Good hustle by Young. And the ball is dropped. And he's safe, right? Guerrero dropped the ball. He's safe, right? Yeah, there we go. Good job there by Cole Young. And that's why it's so important that you hustle, right? So I thought, oh, he had it. And then he kind of swiped. And then the ball ended up flying out of the mitt and whatnot. So great job there by Young. And that's why I want guys like Randy and others. You just never know what freak play might happen at first. And you might think you're 99% out, but you don't know if the first baseman is going to catch the ball or if he's going to drop it or if it's going to be overthrown or underthrown. Great job there by Cole, my favorite player on the team at the moment. And obviously I love me some Colt Emerson as well as far as the young guns. And again, a lot of players on this team that I like. Next up is Mitch Garver, 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the second. And again, my dad, grew up in LA. He's been a Dodger fan since the 50s and the Koufax Drysdale era. So, for every real one like my dad, there's also going to be a lot of the bandwagon Ohtani fans or, bandwagon Judge fans that, just want to be a part of a winning organization, that has a top guy that has the history, of being one of the, best teams for many, many years, going back to, all of those crazy eras, Kurt Gibson era, the Koufax era, the Babe Ruth era, the Mickey Mantle era, the Joe DiMaggio era. I mean, all of those amazing legends over all of those years and whatnot. So But obviously we know Yankees and Dodgers, they come in heavy, but they really do come in heavy for Toronto. I mean, I saw so many Blue Jay jerseys and shirts. It kind of made me throw up, honestly, but I'm glad we ended up getting the 11-0 victory. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mitch Garver. Two pitch. And Garver throttles it in left field. Gone! Let's go! Mitch Garver, baby! Are you kidding me? The worst hitter in the lineup, Mitch Garver, giving you one of these. A 2-run jack with Cole Young at first. 3-0 Seattle. Let's go. We're winning, baby. Let's go. If our worst hitter in the lineup is hitting a homer and not only a solo dinger, a 2-run jack, let's fucking go. Beautiful. Next up is Colt Emerson. Let's see if Colt can get back on track. Let's go. Mike in the building. What's good? Let him know, TJ. We got 196 in the room. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Big swing and a miss there. No balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. And Emerson's defense has really been top tier, but he's been on a little bit of a slump. I did see him get a hit, obviously, yesterday with Cole Young, which was something that me and my best friend have not been able to see both play together yet, besides yesterday. But again, it'll start to come more naturally for him. And if you look at the amount of home runs that he has, with the limited at-bats, if he would have started at the beginning of the year, he probably would be number 1 in home runs with 15 at this point. So, he's got 7 home runs with 100-some at-bats, but we have a few Mariner players, that have 300-plus at-bats, and they're sitting at the same number or maybe just 1 more homer. So, but again, there are going to be growing pains for Young and Emerson for being young players. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. And that is 2 away. Just need to let the game come to you. Be a little bit more patient. If you've noticed, he's been pressing. He's been swinging a lot early. Get it to pitch 4, pitch 5, pitch 6, like JP and Dom, and then good things will happen. Even take note on what Cole Young does more times than not. Yeah, Cole sometimes will go after the first couple pitches, but most of the time, he tries to get it to pitch 4, 5, 6, and good things typically happen. Next up is Victor Robles, who's been playing well in the outfield and in the box since he's filled in for Julio. Pitches low and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Trey Savage to Victor Robles. .20 pitch in there for a strike with a slider right down the middle, 87 miles an hour. 4-3 record with an ERA of 3.34, but we do have a 2-run jack, obviously from Garver moments ago, and we are up 3-0. Let's go. Robles popped up into right. And that is out number 3. But nothing makes me happier than beating rivals, whether it ends up being like, teams in the, division, whether it's like the Astros, the Astros, Rangers, Angels, or Athletics, or if it ends up being someone that we've had a rivalry in the playoffs, like the Blue Jays or the Yankees recently, or a team like the Guardians. Like, it's just really satisfying when you can kind of, end up getting the winning edge over a ball club that doesn't really like you and you don't really like them, and you end up being victorious in that particular game or series. And then obviously in the National League, anytime you can beat up, they're really good teams, which is not often, Dodgers, Padres, Brewers, Cubs, Phillies, sometimes it works out for us and other times we get really beat up, by those teams. But, we'll see how it all plays out. We got the Marlins and Rays next, and Marlins had the best record in June, and the Rays are the best team in the American League. So we're going to be on the road after we have the day off tomorrow, and then we have a 3-game set against the Marlins, hottest team in June, and then obviously we have the Rays on the road also and then we go into the home run derby, and then the all-star game. And then the home run derby, it's no longer timed, it swings, which is awesome. So I think it's going to bring a lot of ratings, and it's going to be much better of a home run derby experience. End of the fourth inning, 3-0 Mariners. Cal Raleigh with a sac fly to right. Robles scored in the third. Head first slide, 1-0 M's. And then Mitch Garver, of all people, hitting a two-run jack 377 feet into left. And that was with Cole Young aboard, 3-0 M's. Trident's up. Let's go M's. All right, we gained 6 subs since the beginning of the broadcast, which is awesome. 94 subs to go to 24,500. Less than 600 subs away from 25,000. And if you haven't smashed the like button yet, please do. We have almost 200 in the room. We want to try to at least get to 100 before the game is over. Usually in that 150 to 200 range is perfect. We're at 67, so we're almost there. $33 to 100. Pitch fouled off there by Ernie Clement. High and inside with that four-seam fastball. No balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Clement. You got Vladdy and Clement being representatives for the Blue Jays, as well as some of their pitchers. And then obviously we only have one representative, in Randy Arosarena. Wow! Oh my, Colt Emerson. Did you see that? And he may not be able to hit on a regular basis lately, but he will give you something like that. And again, I love players that play offense and defense. And Cole Young and Colt Emerson are amazing. I'm a defensive guy first, not only for baseball, but for football, basketball, and hockey. And look at him make that grab, full extension, jumping in the air like Air Jordan and coming down with that ball in the glove. Great job there by Colt Emerson, and that is one away. Beautiful. I mean, if it was anybody else besides him or Cole Young, more than likely that's a single. Awesome. First pitch from Hancock to Keys. Big swing and a miss, low and away, 0-1 count. Game was amazing. 11-0. They had a marching band pregame, a car show with a bunch of muscle cars and muscle trucks on the field, which was awesome. They had military personnel singing in between the innings. It was just a whole vibe, and obviously a grand salami by Randy, right? 3-run jack by Cal, 2-run bomb by Dom. I mean, it was as perfect could be. The only downside is, not getting a ball, but we didn't have a chance. JP didn't throw any into our area, after the inning ended, and we didn't have any come close to us foul ball wise. They had a lot of lefty hitters. So usually if you sit off first base, you need righty hitters to foul it off to get one. And lefty hitters usually hit it towards third base and, behind the plate and whatnot. So, but it was a blast. Jesse in the building. What's good? 2-1 pitch, high and away, 3 balls and 1 strike from Hancock to Keys. Yeah, but again, a lot of the stars, started off slow, but there also have been guys that got better, like Julio Rodriguez, for example, normally is terrible in the first half of a season, and he's actually having his best first half in his career, and he played in the WBC, but again, a lot of the stars, that were on, for example, Team USA, pitchers and hitters, including Cal Raleigh, as we know, and we know Mooney played in it, Randy played in it for Mexico, so it's a lot of the countries were represented, and a lot of, not only just the Mariner players, but stars from all over the map, definitely started off kind of slow, but there has been some that have picked it up since then, so. But again, just because they played in the WBC, if they didn't, they would be playing in spring training. And sometimes, guys just don't have, really the footing and the timing, right in spring training. Sometimes it takes a while. And down goes Keys, strikes out looking. That was beautiful. And that is 2 away. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the Blue Jays, a familiar face, the former Seattle Mariner, second baseman Luis Urias. Kind of a role player like a Leo Rivas. Didn't really play a lot, but again, it may be a face that you maybe remember. or a name that may be familiar. First pitch is high and inside from Hancock to Urias. 1-0 count. TJ says we need 27 more to get to 100, and we should be able to get to about 100, 150 before the game is over. And then some games will get over 200, but it just depends on the people in the room, and if they can support the channel. Little dribbler, gets past the pitcher, and in time to Josh Naylor for out number 3. And think about that. How many times does a pitcher get a glove on the ball, it gets misdirected, and then goes behind, and there's no play? And then that time, he got a little bit of a glove on it. It got kind of, a different trajectory. But if you got Colt Emerson or Cole Young behind you, those are the guys that can still make plays, even when the pitcher tries to make it and then ends up usually costing the team a hit, but not that time. Everything is just rolling right now for the Mariners. Let's go to the bottom of the 5th, and let's see if we can get to run number 5. We're already up 3-0. And I had a good feeling about today's game as well. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 0 with 2 walks. The most patient hitter on the team, third baseman, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, 0 for 2 left fielder, our only all-star at the moment. Had a grand slam yesterday that made the crowd go wild, Randy Arozarena. And batting third, 0 for 1, who hit a homer yesterday as well and got an RBI today, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Trident's up. Let's go M's. And we are at 15 on the dono train, 85 to go. And any type of donos that we get, obviously, will go towards the Paisley Pup Vet Fund. I've had to go to the vet for Paisley 3 times in the last 3 months. It's cost me $1,100. Just a couple days ago, it cost me $400. So anything that can be done, not only today, but all month long, will go towards that to kind of get me back on my feet. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Oh, Dawn, it was wild. I mean, when you see a positional player come in, because they don't want to use a regular bullpen guy and they're throwing 30, 40 miles an hour, you almost can't believe what you're watching. But the funny thing is when a guy does that for, either the Mariners or another team, more times than not, you're not going to get a hit off of it for whatever reason, because you're used to getting 70, 80, 90, 100, right? So when someone pitches 30 or 40, like they kind of overcompensate in the box, and they think that, oh, I'm playing like little league or softball underhand and I'm going to get a home run, but then they whiff, or they hit a ground ball, and that usually doesn't end up, getting a hit. Now, every once in a while, if you get enough batters, like 6 or 7, you might be able to get a single off one, of those guys. But it kind of feels like more times than not, if he can pitch somewhat near the plate, that it may end up being, 3 outs rather than 3 hits or 3 runs, even only at 30 or 40 miles an hour. But that was a crazy thing to see. Absolutely. 0-2 pitch is low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Savage to Crawford. But I've also seen the flip side where guys come in and pitch 50 miles an hour and they get absolutely throttled, so. But we were already up 11-0, so. Line drive to first. Vladdy, flip back to Trey Savage, toe tap on the bag, and that is 1 away. Cal got hurt. He was used last year, and then, played in the home run derby, won it, in the All-Star game, did the WBC, definitely just too many innings squatting for 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours at a time. I honestly don't know if he will really fully get back to kind of similar where he was last year. Even if he gets, more consistent, what is he going to cap out at? 20 home runs? So he's definitely going to have a drop off from the, 60. But normally Cal is a guy that can normally, hit 20 to 35. And if he didn't have the injury come back and the other injury, you have to assume he would probably be somewhere between 10 and 15, kind of the similar amount, where the rest of the top guys are at right now, like Dom and Randy, or Dom and Julio and Luke Raley, sitting around that 14 or 15 range and whatnot. But, we'll see. We may have to wait till next year. And if Cal can stay healthy for the full year, no WBC, so we don't got to worry about that. And then maybe we can get Cal to, 30 to 40 home runs next year if he can stay healthy, something of that nature. as Randy Arosarena on the 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away. He had grand salami dreams in that at-bat there, but that is a big swing and a miss, and that is 2 away. But there is a chance, that Cal could end up having a few multi-homer games, and, but the most I think I could see Cal homering, because if you're only sitting around, 8-9 home runs, at the moment, the most I could probably see him getting to, even if he gets hot in the second half of the season, would probably be 25 homers, maybe 27, 28 at the most, but a lot would have to go right, and he would have to have a few multi-homer games, I think, to get to that point. Like get one left, get one right, 2 left, 2 right, like we used to see last season, but he's only at 9 homers right now. He's not even batting 200, and he's really pressing. He's really trying to do home run swings on every at-bat, and it's hurting him. He needs to dial it back and go for more single swings and try to take more walks. And unfortunately, he feels the pressure on his shoulders to try to be the player that he was last year, and it's kind of hurting the team. Now, has he made some big plays since he's come back from the injury? Yeah, but not enough. Homered yesterday, and homered on the 4th of July twice last year, and has had some good RBIs, had an 0-2 count and forced the walk. So we ended up getting that runner from third to score a few days back, and that call is overturned, and that is strike 3. End of the 5th inning, 3-0 Seattle. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up in the 9-hole, 0 for 1 left fielder Yohendrick Pinango, who had the only hit against Logan Gilbert yesterday, almost had a no-hitter. Batting second, 0 for 2 with a K, right fielder Nathan Lucas. And batting third, 1 for 2 with a double to start off the game, first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 94 subs to go to 24,500, less than 600 away from 25,000. Super exciting. And if you haven't smashed the like button yet, please do. See if we can get to that 100 like number sooner than later. We got 210 in the room, so we should be over 100 already, but I know we're getting close. We're at 80. So can we get 20 people to hit that like button out of the 210, and we'll be there. We need 20 likes to get to 100. Shout out to our female audience. Shout out to our new subs, all of our OGs, as well as everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. I appreciate you. And we are at 15 on the Dono train from Dank and from Sean, and we have 85 to go. And again, everything that is done on the donos will go towards the vet bill, that the emergency vet visit that I had just a few days ago, and everything that we get all month will go towards that. So to help me get back on my feet. I've never had to pay $1,100 in 3 months for 3 vet visits, but I guess, there's a beginning to every story. First pitch from Hancock to Pinango is high and away, 1-0 count. But I hope I don't have to go any more times this year. I mean, usually it's, once a year, not 3 times or 4 times in a matter of 3 or 4 months. So, and she's not old, she's only 4.5. She's going to be 5 in a few months. So it's not like she's an elderly dog that's got all these illnesses, and I do a great job, taking care of her. I mean, I walk her 5 miles a day, 7 days a week. So it's not, due to lack of caring. It's just, things that are kind of out of my control, I guess. 2-0 pitch is in there for a strike from Emerson Hancock. Beautiful sinker, 93 miles an hour, high heat right down the middle. 2 balls and 1 strike to Yohendrick Pinango. Yeah, we're up 0.5, coming into today on the Rangers. So we're in first place again. And I don't have any kids, so Paisley, I'm the dog father. She's my dog daughter, and nothing has been more important in my life than her. She saved my life more than once, and obviously the 2 most important things in my life are her and you guys and this channel, all the time and effort and energy that I put in both. So 3-1 pitch, and that's inside, and Pinango is walked. I've been doing this for 14 years, 10 on YouTube, and I plan on doing this for the rest of my life. So, obviously, are there other things that could be making me, more money financially? Of course. But again, it's all about, going for your dreams. And sometimes you got to work really, really hard before you can end up getting to where you want financially and being a little bit more comfortable. But I would rather, be in a tough spot for a while and then eventually get where I need to be than, make a lot of money in a job that I hate and, and not enjoy what I'm doing, and again, not a lot of people can really do exactly what they want for a dream. A lot of times people quit or they don't believe in themselves and whatnot. And obviously, if it was easy to make your dreams come true, everyone would do it. It definitely is, peaks and valleys, kind of like the Mariners, right? There's going to be good times and bad times, but as long as you don't quit, and you believe in yourself and you do have a certain type of skill set and you have amazing people to support you, you can make your dreams happen. No doubt about that. And I appreciate every single one of you in the room. You guys are a part, of this dream. And, every dono that's given is going towards a dream. Every comment, every sub, every like, every share, it all comes together, and it's, it means a lot more than words can express. Little slow dribbler, double play, throw back to first. Got him. Let's go. Big double play, baby. Dude, Cole Young and Colt Emerson, I mean, my goodness. And that's why I love the CNC factory. I love the offense. I love the defense. And there's a reason why, whenever it, obviously I have all these vet bills and, I don't really get a chance to buy anything for myself. But obviously if I had a chance down the road when they become available, the next two things that I would purchase, would be a Cole Young, probably teal. They don't even make it yet, I don't believe. And then maybe like a Colt Emerson blue or steelhead. I would like to be able to, get a jersey of each and whatnot. So I don't have any of the steelhead jerseys. I don't have a teal and I don't have a blue. But I definitely know that Young and Emerson are my next two jerseys. I got, Griffey. I got a couple of those. I got a Julio, I got a Cal, but I definitely want to represent Young and Emerson. And I haven't been this excited for two young Mariner players, maybe ever, besides maybe when we first got Julio and Cal, in 2022, it was kind of similar vibes and whatnot. But I mean, just the potential for Young and Emerson, they could end up being the best combo, at shortstop and second base in the near future, and offense and defense. We just got to get them close to batting 300 and then just doing what they do on a regular basis on defense already, and they're young and they're going to make errors here and there, but think about how many spectacular plays they've made on defense already. And Young, obviously a better hitter than Emerson. Emerson's a little bit more streaky. He'll be able to get those home runs here and there, but consistency and clutch factor, Young is more consistent. And obviously, especially late in games as well. Young has got a little bit of an edge on Emerson, on offense and defense, but, Emerson definitely will end up catching up. And you assume Emerson will end up having more home runs normally in a full season than Young, but I don't think by not much. Young is going to be able to, get a few as well, even though he's not really a home run hitter per se, more of like a singles or double hitter. And Emerson is more of a home run hitter and then, singles and doubles occasionally. But, we'll see how it all plays out. Pitch fouled off back into the T-Mobile bricks. Count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes from Hancock to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Rangers lost. I love that. Any type of lead we can get on the Rangers, the Astros, the Athletics, and Angels, we'll take it. And again, with all the injuries that we've had, it's just kind of a blessing that, we're in first place. Yeah, we haven't been there all year, because of all the injuries to the bullpen and our key studs. I mean, I've been a fan of this team for like 40 years, and I have never seen so many amazing players be this banged up in the first half of a season ever. This is the most injuries we've ever had, and we're still in first place. So that shows you how talented we are. There's not very many teams in the American League that have the talent like we do, And Vladdy is walked there by Hancock, and luckily M hasn't walked too many individuals. 2-hitter with 1 error so far. And Hancock's got 2 walks. and 4 Ks. And you got 2 walks and 6 Ks from Savage. So, and first pitch to Okamoto is a ball, 1-0 count. Popped up and out of play, four-seam fastball, low and away. 95 miles an hour there by Emerson Hancock. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first and 2 outs, top of the 6th. 3-0 Mariners. Now, the steelhead jerseys are simple, but sometimes simple is clean, Sometimes you don't have to have the flashiness of the City Connect or the teal to have a jersey that looks cool. Popped up, and that is out number 3. Great job there by the defense. Cole Young, Colt Emerson, man, they are special. 2-hitter there for Emerson Hancock so far. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 6th and see if we can get to run number 4 or run number 5. Chris with a 10er. Thank you so much, Chris. And shout out to Chris for sending me a dono while I was at the game for Paisley. And Chris has been on the dono train for the last few games, and I really appreciate it. Appreciate you, Chris. For the doggy Dr. Bills, and anyone that's got a dog or a cat, will be able to understand. And shout out to Chris, and again, anyone that ends up supporting that cause, it really does mean a lot because, she is the most important thing to me in my entire life besides this channel, My Paisley Pup. All right, Mariner Moose is out, and usually when the Moose comes out, good things happen, usually very, very shortly after. Let's see who's up next year for the M's. Next up for the Mariners, 0-for-2, first baseman Josh Naylor. For the love of God, Naylor, just work the count. Get me to pitch 4, pitch 5, pitch 6, instead of just swinging at the first 2 pitches and popping up and grounding out. It seems like it's been a common theme. And use your leg kick. When you started doing that, things were really going well, and you're kind of going back to your old ways. Make a change, and good things will happen. Let's go, Josh. Let's go, Nails. Batting second, 1-for-2, right fielder. Let's see if we get a nuke out of Luke Raley. And batting third, 0-for-2 with a run. My favorite player on the team at the moment, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. Right hands up. Let's go, M's. All right, Trey Savage at 86 pitches, 4-3 record with a 3.34 ERA. And a line drive towards first and foul. And I think, the impact that Trey Savage had for the Blue Jays last year is the same kind of impact that Cade Anderson could potentially have for the Mariners. Whether it be him starting in the pen, because we already have 6 starters unless they move Castillo, and Savage drops the ball, throw back to first, and that is 1 away. If Naylor would have actually hustled, he would have been safe, but he kind of let up there, and even with Savage dropping the ball, he still was able to get the out. And again, I can always tell when guys are engaged, in the game, or are they just going through the motions, and again, nothing makes me more irritated where guys don't hustle, and again, you're getting paid millions of dollars, to play the game that you love as a kid. The least you can do is be like fucking Luke Raley and hustle. But of course, not everyone is built like a Luke Raley, as well as a few of the other guys that will hustle no matter what. Offense, defense. And that's one thing that Luke, has had a breakout year with Dom. And sometimes I would like Luke to be a little bit more patient in the box, but you cannot knock him on his hustle. Running to first, diving for balls. Once he gets a ball, he throws a laser. He just gives everything he has. And I can really admire that. I wish, Randy and a few of the other guys would follow suit, And again, if you could actually get guys like especially Randy, who's an all-star this year, most consistent hitter in the box, but he's shitty at hustling to first, right? Ground balls, doesn't hustle. And when he gets a ground ball in left, he doesn't even throw a laser. It's a lob. If he were to change that, he would be probably a top 20 player in baseball. If he actually would, do all the things that he could do to be one of the best in the game, and he would be recognized as that, and he might have been able to get away being lazy in Tampa Bay, but we don't let that slide here, and it's just kind of sad where you can have an all-star player that still has so much room to grow, but maybe not willing to put in the effort. And a little strikeout, foul tip. Luke Raley running to first, even though he was already out, and that is 2 away. DL with a 5-er. Appreciate you. Great picture of the pup. Yeah, I do believe he'll be there. DePoto will be there as well, because the organization isn't smart enough to make a change. And also on top of that, there's not really a whole lot of great GMs and great managers that are out there. If you've noticed, when guys get hired and fired, it's just former players, usually they get hired and fired, and it's a rotating door. It's not like they promote from, college, from someone that was like, let's say, for example, LSU's coach that won the Natty. You're not going to see him be a manager in the big leagues the next season. They very rarely bring guys from college, to the MLB. And why is that? It's rare. And then like in the NFL, if you fire a coach, hey, you got an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or, someone from college. That's common. But in baseball, it clearly is not. Popped up in the right by Cole Young on an 0-2 count, and that is out number 3. And that's why with baseball, you got 30 teams, right? But out of 30 teams, how many are honestly good managers? Like 5 out of 30, And then with GMs, how many good GMs are there really out there? A few, maybe 4, 5, 6, out of the 30. And then there's a lot of like, average or maybe slightly above. And then there's, ones that are slightly below. And then there's a lot of GMs and managers that are fucking terrible, but there's just nothing else out there, Hell, if it was my decision, right, and if I could get guys on board, I would fire Dan Wilson, I'd fire DePoto, I would make Ichiro the fucking manager, right? Edgar Martinez and Seitzer can still be there, and then I would try to get Ichiro to convince Griffey and Randy Johnson to put their photography careers and dreams on hold, and then have Randy come in and manage all of the pitchers, and Griffey to manage all the hitters with Edgar. And I mean, that's not going to happen, at least you don't think it would, but that would be what I would do. And then I would try to find, a GM from another organization, to come in to kind of change the culture, and again, it's not going to happen. And honestly, if they were going to fire somebody, they would fire Dan before DePoto. DePoto, for whatever reason, is locked in with the ownership, and they are very tight. And it would have to be like one of the biggest meltdowns, like maybe 3-4 years in a row when we're like World Series contenders, and then all of a sudden we don't make the playoffs when we're World Series contenders for like 3-4 years in a row. Then maybe they would get rid of DePoto and then the manager, but I don't even want to think like that. So Don with a 20. Appreciate you. Anytime you get guys like that, I mean, hold your breath. Sometimes they'll be okay, in the pen, but other times, it will not be good. Appreciate you, Don, very, very much. First pitch from Hancock to Alejandro Kirk. Challenges coming here from behind the plate. And that ends up being a ball. Ball is confirmed, and they're out of challenges. And luckily, we didn't have a situation like a couple games ago where Randy challenged twice in the first inning and lost both, and we had no challenges the rest of the game. That was ridiculous. That was in I believe, the 2-0 loss with Castillo on the mound in game 1. So, you have to be very careful. And if you're going to lose one challenge, you don't have the right to challenge after that, let alone, in the first inning. That was probably one of the biggest meltdowns and challenges I've seen this year. But obviously we see what Randy did yesterday with the grand salami with me there in appearance at T-Mobile, which was amazing. 1-1 pitch, takes a strike looking high and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hancock to Alejandro Kirk. One-two pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. and that is 1 away. And like for me, I might be, a huge Mariner fan. My dad grew up in LA, lived in Hawaii and Oregon and a few places. So, I do have a lot of love and respect for like Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale and like a lot of the old school era. And then as far as like players that are playing now, I know we have a rivalry with the Yankees, but that doesn't mean that I don't like Aaron Judge. Obviously when we play against the Yankees, I want to, destroy them. But do I enjoy watching greatness? Like Judge when they're healthy and Ohtani on the Dodgers when he is healthy. Yeah. When they're playing the Mariners, I want to destroy them. But when they're playing other teams and they're making, history, it's cool, to be able to see great players do great things. And also on top of that, when you end up getting a ball of a player like Aaron Judge, then it ends up, giving you another type of fandom as well. So, and I was very blessed to get, when Aaron Judge was in 2022 and had that 62 home run season, I was able to get an Aaron Judge ball. And, I also got a Julio Rodriguez rookie ball that year as well. And, which is kind of crazy. Like, what are the chances of getting a Julio ball and an Aaron Judge ball in the same season, or not even in the same season, just in general? It's like 1 in a billion. And I was able to do that. And I've been able to get 3 baseballs and 10 games that I've been to. And so I might not be Zach Hampel and I'm not stealing them from anybody, but I do think I'm a little lucky, but also it's, you have to be aware, you can't be too drunk. You can't be eating. You can't be on your phone. You have to be watching the game. And then when a ball comes to your area, you have to react immediately. You got like a half second to react. And if you react quickly, you might have a chance. If you don't, you're not getting a ball. And, so my love for Aaron Judge, obviously is a little bit higher than the average, person that's maybe, not just a Yankee fan. So, and obviously my first ball was Kike Hernandez. So obviously I have a little love for Kike as well. So Kike, Julio, and Aaron Judge are my 3 balls. So pretty special. Popped up into left. And Randy is there. And that is 2 away. Jerry in the building. What's good? First pitch is high and away from Hancock to Ernie Clement. Sinker, 94 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Right now, Hancock with a 2-hitter, Gilbert yesterday with a 1-hitter. And Gilbert with his last 5, 6, 7 starts has been electric. And I'm really happy they didn't do the piggyback yesterday. Yeah, and another thing about like Judge and Ohtani, obviously there's a lot of jealousy there and they are great players. But I'm telling you, if you are a sport memorabilia type of guy and you were able to, buy a rookie auto that's graded out of Shohei and Judge before it got really too crazy price-wise, those are going to be some of the best investments that you can make. There's, other things that people like to invest in, but again, if you want to be able to have a good return, obviously going with a Judge rookie auto graded or a Ohtani rookie card auto graded, I mean, those things are not going to ever go down in value. They're always going to keep going up, especially when they continue to get better and better numbers in their career. Like, for example, I ended up getting a Judge rookie auto graded. I paid $675, which is a lot of money for me, and it's worth like $1,000, $1,100 now. And that was just a few years ago. So, and a little dribbler there up the middle, throw to Naylor, and that is out number 3. So sometimes you got to have money to make money, but a $675 investment for a Judge rookie auto graded, now worth $1,000 to $1,100, and Judge is still playing. So, at some point that card could end up being $1,500 and, maybe above $2,000 one day. And I would say that's a pretty good investment in something that cost me less than $700. So, all right, let's go to the bottom of the 7th inning and see if we can get another run. I wasn't able to get any balls yesterday, even when the innings ended and JP was throwing them into the crowd. I stood up in my seat, waved my hands, like I always do, to try to catch the eye of the players and also try to get a ball for my best friend, because he's been to like 60 games, between the Dodgers and the Mariners, because he used to live in LA and obviously lives in Oregon here now with me. And he's never gotten a ball. So, I want to try to get one for him. And, there was just no balls that JP threw after the innings ended in our area. And there was no foul balls. I don't think there was even one that was even in our section, or even 2 or 3 sections to the left or right of us. So it was just kind of an odd, because normally if you sit in section 119 to 121, that's like behind the Mariner dugout off to first base and kind of towards, that right side, that's usually when right-handed batters hit foul balls over there. And then obviously if you're on the opposing side, then you're looking for lefty batters that hit it, towards the visiting dugout and whatnot. But most of the foul balls yesterday, because they were kind of pro-lefty hitters for Toronto and for the Mariners, most of the foul balls were either behind the plate or, towards the Blue Jay fans. So there just wasn't really any opportunities for me to running up and down, the aisle and try to get one for my best friend. But I'm very determined. I want to be able to get one, for him at one point or another. So. Next up, 1 for 2 with a run, 2 RBIs and a K, and a 2-run blast out of our weakest link in the lineup today, but it has a homer. Mitch Garver, let's go. Garv sauce, baby. Extra cheese. Batting second, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks. Shortstop Colt Emerson. Stop pressing and just let the game come to you, and you'll get a base hit, my guy. You're awesome. And batting third, 1 for 2 with a run, center fielder Victor Robles. And it looks like Rogers is coming in for you, Savage. Tyler Rogers is coming in. All right, Tyler Rogers coming in. And let's see if Mitch Garver can give us a little bit of that Soto mojo and that Mariner magic. And that's why, you never know. Sometimes the weakest link in the lineup ends up being one of the strong pieces. And we know Garver is one of the worst players on the team. Pareda is a better hitter and probably a better catcher, but he's in AAA, right? And, I have more confidence in Garver than I do Refsnyder. So I guess at least he's got that going for him. But, we know Refsnyder by far is the worst, and he's on the injured list right now. But we'll see if we can rough up a little bit of Tyler Rogers with his sidearm approach as Garver pops up. And it's hard to hit against Rogers because his sidearm, pitching style is very unique, and it kind of throws you off as a hitter in the box. Because if you actually watch him, it looks normal at the beginning, and then all of a sudden that sidearm really comes into full effect. Next up is Colt Emerson. First pitch, takes a strike looking with a sinker, 83 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Let's go, Colt. Rogers on the mound. Emerson in the box. 0-1 pitch, fouled off there towards third base. No balls and 2 strikes from Rogers to Emerson. Check swing, did he go? And Emerson goes down. And again, this overly aggressive approach, by not just Emerson, but by Cal Raleigh and Josh Naylor and Randy Arosarena and Luke Raley. Like, we can't afford, to have half of our lineup, just itching to get a home run or like pressing so hard to get hits. Just let the game come to you like JP does and Dom does. And, and eventually, good things will happen. And most of the time, Cole Young will most of the time be patient, but sometimes he'll get a little eager. And that's popped up into right. In foul territory. What a catch out there. And that is out number 3. And a very quick inning for Rogers there in the 7th. And that was a good catch out there by Nathan Lucas in right. End of the 7th inning, 3-0 Seattle. We lost 2-0 in game 1, won 11-0 yesterday, and I was there. Amazing. One of the best games that I've ever been a part of. And now we're up 3-0. So who would have thought that the opponent in every game would be at 0? I don't think I've seen that too often, but we'll take it. 50th anniversary for the Mariners, 40 plus years on the radio for this legend and icon. He's retiring after this season, so we will dedicate it to one of my favorites of all time, not named Dave Niehaus. It is Rick Rizzs. Love me some Dave Niehaus and love me some Rick Rizzs. We love you. We should be approaching 100 likes, hopefully, pretty soon here, if we're not there already. We gained another sub. 93 subs to go to 24,500. We're at 15 on the Dono train, I believe, unless we're a little higher than that. Maybe we're at 20. I'll have to go back and look. And where are we at here? We're at 99 likes. Can we get one more like to get over the hump? And we are at 25 on the Dono train because Chris is tenor. I forgot about that. 25 on the Dono train, 75 to go. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Dank. Shout out to Sean. Oh, yeah. And then we also have DL and Dawn. I forgot about you two just moments ago. So we are at 10, 20, 10, 15, 25, 30. We're at 50. We're at 50 on the Dono train, 50 to go. Shout out to Dank, shout out to Sean, shout out to DL Miller, shout out to Dawn, and shout out to Chris. Appreciate you guys. And every dono will go towards the Paisley Pup Vet Fund, obviously for that $400 unexpected emergency visit I had a couple days ago. I know Valenzuela is up to bat. We got Gabe Spire. We haven't seen Gabe in quite a minute. And let's see if Gabe can mow him down here. All right, Brendan Valenzuela is pinch hitting. First pitch from Gabe Spire to Valenzuela. Takes a strike high and away. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Oh, one pitch popped up and out of play. No balls and two strikes from Spire to Valenzuela. Brandon Valenzuela. Oh-2 pitch. And Valenzuela pops up. Should be a routine play here for the infield. Young is there. Great job there by Cole Clutch Young. And that is one away. Good job, Cole. Dank with another $5. Thank you so much. Thank you, dude. Yeah, and again, 3 visits in 3 months costing me $1,100. I'm not a rich guy. I mean, it really is hurting me. So, again, I don't even usually like to bring up stuff like that. But, you know, when you end up having some emergency things like that, we do have, you know, some of the most caring and, you know, amazing, genuine, fans that will, try to help me get out of this hole. So, appreciate you. Little dribbler towards third by Urias, the former Mariner. Throw to first, and that is 2 away. Appreciate you, Dank. And obviously, as Lucas goes down, then instead of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., we're going to have Miles Straw. Straw coming in for Pinyango. Popped up and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes from Spire to Straw. Straw in the box. Gabe Spire on the mound. Top of the 8th inning with nobody on and 2 outs, 3-0 Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go M's. And Rayleigh comes up and makes the play. And that is out number 3 as Straw flies out to right. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 8th and see if we can end up adding on another run or 2. I mean, if you ended up going through, the Vin Scully, Harry Carey, Dave Niehaus, like all of the old school grandpa, voices, and if you actually listened, nobody, and I'm going to say nobody, was a better storyteller than Vin Scully. And again, a lot of these announcers, they start talking about the game and then they mispronounce the names of the guys. Like if you get some other guy on another broadcast, and then they start talking about what they had for lunch, and it's just a bunch of bullshit, right? But again, with him, he was one of the best storytellers, to me, the best storyteller of all time, because he ended up getting a job, doing baseball when he was very, very young. So if you, have 50, 60, 70 years of experience, with the time on the mic, you got to think about how many stories that he's had with players and managers. And again, I think that there hasn't really been anybody. Now, has there been, people that have good voices? Yeah, there's a lot of people that are very knowledgeable that have great voices. But if you're talking about pure storytelling, that's not bullshit. That actually is interesting in between the innings and actually like makes you more knowledgeable about the game and, drops facts and stories that you've never heard before. Nobody was better than Vin Scully. And again, you don't have to be a Dodger fan to know that. But again, if you watch the Dodgers, but again, obviously, if you weren't, a part of that fan base, or you didn't really listen to him in that way, then maybe you don't know. But, for someone that likes to listen to a lot of people, again, to me, Scully was by far the best storyteller and, a legend and icon in his own right, for sure. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th and see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up, 0 for 1 with 2 walks, the most patient batter on the team besides Dominic Canzone, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, left fielder, the all-star, Randy Arozarena. And batting third, the big dumper, DHing today, Cal Raleigh. All right, now we got Fluharty into the game now. So no more Rogers. 0-1 pitch, high and away with a cutter. 1 ball and 1 strike from Fluharty to JP. One pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike from Fluharty to Crawford. And I think a lot of the old school grandpa, kind of voices, they're so iconic. Even when they had college football, on ABC with Keith Jackson, there's just certain voices of certain grandpa announcers that are just so much better. Now, if you end up being 30 or 40 and you actually have a nice soothing voice and you're knowledgeable, like we have to be lucky that we have Goldie, as our play-by-play, and again, there's not a lot of those guys that are 30, 40 years old that can kind of keep up, with the grandpa type of voices. Obviously, the older you are, the more knowledge and, stories you're going to have. But there definitely are a few in sports, that are a little younger, under 50, that do a pretty damn good job. And not just in baseball, but basketball and football and hockey. But, obviously we know there are a lot of ones that are not really that great either, though. So, especially on the NFL side. There's quite a few announcers that are pretty cringeworthy, if you ask me, but they have who they have. So big swing and a miss there by JP, and that is one away. Mason Fluharty in the game. Next up is Randy Arozarena. First pitch from Fluharty to Arozarena. Takes a strike looking high and away. Cutter 91 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0 for 3 with a line out, ground out, and a strikeout. Let's see if Randy can get his first hit of the game after having an amazing game yesterday, including that grand salami. Big swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes from Fluharty to Arozarena. But it also, depends on how old you are, and again, some of the people on the channel are going to be like 13 to 17. There's going to be others that are 17 to 25, and then there's going to be ones that are 25 to, 50. And there's going to be ones that are going to be 50 and up, and 65 and up. And, we actually have a very wide range of people, that watch this channel, from the, the younger generation. But a lot of the fan base, is going to be, 25 and up. But a lot of the fan base is, 50 and up. So it's like, you're going to get that knowledge, based on, where they grew up, who they followed. And obviously every fan is built a little bit different. Not every young person is going to be on the same level as every older individual fan. And there's also going to be younger fans that are more knowledgeable than the older fans. It really just depends on how committed you are, how much you read, how much film you watch, and again, the great thing about sports, it brings us together no matter what age or race, no matter if, you're in the United States or across the globe. And that's one thing that is great about sports. It definitely brings us together. Little dribbler up the middle, and there we go. Randy getting his first hit of the day. Nice job there by Randy. Yeah, and Sims had New York ties, just like Goldie has ties to St. Louis. So if we end up replacing Goldie, he's going to be the play-by-play for the Cardinals more than likely down the road, unless he decides to stay with the Mariners for his whole career, but I highly doubt it. At some point, whether it be the higher-ups decide to move on from Goldie will be happily taking over for the Cardinals. And, I would love for Goldie to stay, for his whole career and whatnot. But, anytime that you end up having ties to another city, based on yourself or your dad or your family, it's one of those things that happens. Ken Griffey Sr. in Cincinnati and then Ken Griffey Jr. going there. I mean, it all kind of, comes together. But a lot of times you may leave, but that doesn't mean that you leave forever. Sometimes you come back, later after you experiment with that other, project and whatnot. So, but if I had a choice between Goldie and Sims, I mean, give me Goldie all day. So, and I feel like some people love Sims, but some people didn't like his style and whatnot. But, everyone's going to have their own style as well with, Niehaus and everyone else. It just kind of depends on, do you like the tone? Do you like the style on how they talk? Are they knowledgeable? Do you have a connection? And, every fan is going to have a different kind of connection to not only the players, but also the people that call the games. 2-1 pitch, fouled off high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 8th inning, 3-0 Seattle. Throw to first, and Randy is safe. Bottom of the 8th, runner at first with 1 out. Mason Fluharty, the lefty on the mound. Big dumper Cal Raleigh in the box. 0 for 2 with an RBI and 2 Ks. And another throw to first, which is going to bring out the boo birds in the crowd. Two pitch for Mason Fluharty. Hard hit ball by the big dumper towards third and foul, as Cal is batting right-handed, obviously with the lefty on the mound. And sometimes that's good for Cal. And if you've noticed this season, he hasn't been able to go back and forth between lefty and righty at-bats as often as he did last year. And I feel like, when you struggle on one side, over and over and over, even though he's stronger as a lefty than he is a righty, sometimes that switch up and going to that other side sometimes can get you going. And, with all the struggles that he's had left-handed, I do want to see more right-handed bats. And there you go. A nice base knock by Cal, batting right-handed. And sometimes that's all you need is just a little bit of a switch up. Josh Naylor struggling, and then him finally doing a leg kick and then kind of solving some of the issues. And, Cal kind of struggling from the left side at times and other times doing great. And then now going to the right and just a little different feel, of the game and getting a nice base knock into right field and Randy getting to third. And now we have runners at first and third and one out. I like it when we can talk about something and it kind of comes together right in front of our very eyes based on what we're talking about. All right, a guy that is super impatient that is getting out in the first two pitches. Can we please get to pitch 4, pitch 5, pitch 6? And if you're willing to get to that point, you might actually be able to get a home run or an RBI. I mean, unless you're able to, luckily get something in the first two pitches, but it hasn't really worked for Naylor lately. And I just hope that he listens. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. Sweeper, 80 miles an hour by Mason Fluharty. At least he didn't swing there. But 0 for 3, line out, fly out, ground out. And again, Naylor is too good, to be so overly aggressive. 1-0 pitch, high and inside. Because not only, do you get the pitch count up, for the opposing pitcher, but then you might be able to get walked. But you're never going to get fucking walked if you swing at the first two pitches and you pop up and ground out. So it's like you're doing yourself a disservice and the team. Not every player is built to be able to get hits in the first two pitches. And even the guys that are built that way, are still smart enough to be able to kind of switch it up as the game goes. Maybe I'm aggressive in the first two at-bats, but then the next two, I'm going to, kind of see what happens. And then maybe I'll be able to get that home run swing, on pitch 5, 6, or 7 later in the game. And, a lot of times that does happen. Big swing and a miss on a 2-0 count, low and away. Sweeper, 80 miles an hour there by Mason Fluharty. 2 balls and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. I would like to see us bunt as well more often because nobody practices bunting defense in the league. A lot of times you can get a single or double off a bunt. It's not sexy. It's like drafting an offensive lineman isn't sexy, but you need to do it if you want to win. And I feel with bunting, when you're struggling sometimes, it can kind of open the door for a rally to happen. But a lot of teams, including the Mariners, are just not willing to do it on a game in, game out basis, which is kind of sad. I like that, part of the game. Small ball. It definitely is a success to winning. Hard hit ball. It goes up in the air. Go, go, go. Let's go. And look at that. Josh Naylor getting to pitch 5. And what happens? He ends up getting a hit and an RBI. What do you know? It's nice when we can predict things here on the channel and then, if they can actually do it, and again, it's like, I'm not going to get every prediction correct. No one is on planet Earth, but we usually will get a few every game, 2, 3, 4, predict a home run, predict a stolen bag, predict a strikeout, predict how an at-bat could go, if they listen. And finally, to be able to see an overly aggressive hitter kind of take a step back and just let the game come to you. And good job there. Next up is Luke Raley, 4-0 M's. Let's go. Blue Jays challenge. And it is overturned. Oh, 1 pitch. And there we go. Rayleigh, drop. Oh, what a catch. Lucas with a catch in right. A leaping grab. What athleticism for Nathan Lucas. And that is 2 away. But you get the runner to tag up. And, man, if that would have dropped, it would have been 5-0 Mariners. And I like him bringing his hand next to the glove to make sure that ball doesn't come out. You don't see that out of outfielders that often. And yeah, I don't like necessarily seeing the other team make a play on us, but if it ends up being a pretty play, I can't ignore it. I do appreciate great plays and, greatness when I see it. Next up is Cole Clutch Young. First pitch by Young, pops it up and out of play. 0-1 count. We got runners at first and third with 2 outs. Let's see if Cole can make it 5-0 M's. And you don't even need to go homer. Just get a single, or a double, or, if you can get a walk. I mean, obviously, I don't want anyone to get hit by a pitch and get hurt, but, if a guy gets hit in the leg or arm and he's okay, so be it, or gets hit on the foot. 0-1 pitch, high and inside, 1 ball and 1 strike to Cole Clutch Young. And Cole is one of the most clutch hitters, on the Mariners in the 7th inning and beyond, and also in the American League. There's not too many guys that are more clutch than Cole, and obviously coming into the game yesterday, he was number 1 in RBIs on the team. And for a second-year player with all the other guys that are on the team, you never would assume that Cole Young, it's not like Cole's batting 300, but you would never assume that he would be number 1 in RBIs, on the team going into yesterday's game. So, and we know we got a few guys at 14 home runs, with Julio and Luke and I believe Dom. So you got a few guys almost at that 15 number, but I like the offense and defense that we usually get from Young and Emerson, even though Emerson's been in a little bit of a mini slump in the box, but still can make amazing plays defensively, which I can appreciate. And then Young usually is giving you great plays on offense and defense, but there are going to be games where Young goes 0 for 4 or 0 for 8, and then usually turns it around. Same thing with Emerson. 1-2 pitch, popped up and out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes with runners on the corners at first and third with 2 outs. Bottom of the 8th, 4-0 M's. Trident's up. Let's go Seattle. AR in the building. What's good? Hope everyone had a great 4th of July with family and friends. Cal's 1 for 3 with an RBI, Austin. And a big swing and a miss there by Cole, which is unfortunate. Usually he comes up with an RBI there, but was not able to do that against Fluharty, the lefty. And that is the end of the 8th inning. We leave 2 stranded, but not after we at least get 1 more run on the board. I mean, Josh Naylor, gosh, he's been slumping a little bit in the box. He got a nice infield single on pitch 5, which I don't think I've seen from him in fucking ages. And Randy Arozarena scoring. And we have a 4-0 lead, which is much better than 3-0. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 93 subs to go to 24,500. Less than 600 subs away from 25,000. That's so exciting. And we should be over 100 likes now. We're at 50 on the Dono train, 50 to go, I believe. And we got 250 in the room, and I'm hoping we can get to at least that 150 number before the game ends, even though we only have maybe a half inning left. Where are we at? 117. If we can get 33 people to hit that like button, that would just be top tier. And I will go over the stats after the game is over for both teams. And we got 250 in the room. If we can get 33 people out of 250 to hit that like button to get 150, I mean, the chance of having 83 people hit the like button to get to 200 is not impossible, but, getting to at least 150 would be great. So, end of the 8th inning, 4-0 Seattle. And we're at 50 on the Dono train, 50 to go. We're at 55 on the Dono train, 45 to go. And every dollar that ends up being donated not only today, but all month long will go to the Paisley Pup Vet Fund. Emergency vet visits that cost $200 to $400 are not fun, but, it happens. But she is starting to progress, pretty nicely. She still has to wear a cone for a couple more weeks, but 3 medications that she's on, but, at least I know that she's, getting better each day. All right, Andres Munoz coming in to go against Nathan Lucas. And hopefully this will be the good Mooney, not the bad. And obviously we've seen a lot of both, but mostly bad Mooney for the majority of the season. But, it seems like he can have like 2 good, outings, and then it gets back to the old Mooney from earlier in the year. But we'll know exactly how good Mooney is in the first 7 pitches. That'll tell you exactly how good Mooney is. If he's hitting the strike zone, or if he's walking guys or hitting guys, or if he's way over inside or outside. And 1-0 pitch is low and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Munoz to Nathan Lucas. Because, when he's bad, then runners are going to get on first and second really quick, whether it's back-to-back hits or back-to-back walks, or he plunks them and he hits them, So hopefully he'll be able to get some strikes. And then sometimes when he actually finally gets in the zone and can hit the corners and hit the strike zone, sometimes he's unlucky, and then the hitters just rough him up. So, because if you try to throw through a hitter, they're not afraid of you, so we'll see where it goes. But we finally get a strike on the corner. 2 balls and 1 strike to Nathan Lucas. Little chopper, and that's a single right in front of Victor Robles. Not ideal. Come on, Mooney. And it seems like Mooney has not been able to get 3 punch outs like fucking forever. Like, I don't even remember the last time that he got 3 strikeouts in a row and we win the game. It always feels like he always has at least a guy or 2 on, and then we have to bail him out with a double play. And sometimes he doesn't even get a fucking strikeout. Like, he gets a pop-up and a double play, or a ground out and 2 pop-ups. It's like, it's pretty rare, for him to get 2, let alone 3 strikeouts. I mean, has it happened this year? Yeah, but a majority of him being bad, it's usually we have to find a way to bail him out with runners at first and second or bases loaded. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I would love to win 4-0, not fucking 4-1, or 4-2, but big swing and a miss to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Back-to-back sliders. That was an issue for him. The grip of the slider and obviously his mental, health and his belief in himself. Those were the 2 things that were really off. And if you don't have the grip on the slider and you don't believe in yourself, you're probably not going to pitch well. Got him. There we go. There is a good punch out there by Mooney. And that's the good Mooney right there. And normally when he gives up a base hit, another one happens, but not in the next batter there from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And that's rare because Vladdy normally will rough up anybody. All right, next up, the number 1 home run hitter for Toronto, fresh from Japan, Kazuma Okamoto. 19 homers, and again, Munetaka Murakami was the home run hitter, but somehow, some way, Okamoto from Japan as well, who had his choice of teams, has got 19 homers and is number 1, more than Vladdy, more than George Springer, more than anybody, more than Ernie Clement. So it's pretty amazing, to see the youth movement from Japan. And Okamoto with the broken bat, and there it is, popped up, and that is 2 away. Good job there by Colt Emerson. And again, sometimes you got to bail your pitcher out. But I know Blue Jay fans are super excited to be able to have a guy from Japan that's, having that kind of impact in his rookie season. Just like White Sox fans love Munetaka Murakami before he got his hamstring injury. All right, hopefully this will be the last batter. 4-hole hitter, catcher, 0 for 3 with a K, Alejandro Kirk. First pitch. High and inside with a 4-seam fastball. 100 miles an hour there by Mooney. 1-0 count. We got 2 outs, so we don't need a double play. One 1-0 pitch, high and inside. Two 2-0 pitch, low and at the knees. Come on, Mooney. Three balls and no strikes from Mooney to Kirk. Well, they've been banged up this year like us. So again, obviously the Mariners and Blue Jays were the last, two teams from last year, but again, both of our teams have gone through a lot of issues. I mean, we have the most injuries, but they've had a lot of hiccups, with their team also. So, and just because you were really good last year doesn't mean you're going to be really good this year, but we'll see how it goes for them. Popped up, and this should be the last out. There we go. Victor Robles with the catch, bailing out Mooney, and that is the ball game, baby. Great job, and that was the good Mooney for the most part, even though a runner did end up getting to first, but good defense there, with Emerson and Robles kind of bailing him out, And again, Mooney is not really that guy that's going to get 3 punch outs in a row. I was able to get one, but again, we'll take that. And again, a lot of times when we have a 4-0, 3-0, or 2-0 lead, what happens with Mooney? He gives up a run, and he didn't do that today. So we get the good Mooney today. Final score, Mariners 4, Blue Jays 0. And in the last 2 games, we've scored 15 runs, and they've had 0 in back-to-back games. I would say that's pretty good. And when the Mariners win, what do? We fucking dance when we win the series against the Blue Jays. Mariners win, Mariners win, Mariners win. Fuck yeah. Let's go. And crazy, and it's one of the first series all year where the losing team has gotten 0, right? We lost the first game 2-0. We won yesterday when I went there on the 4th of July. We won 11-0, and then we won today 4-0. I believe it's the first time all season that's happened. And again, I'm glad that we're on the winning side of that stat. All right, let's go over the numbers here real quick. All right, Nathan Lucas, 1 for 4. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 1 for 3. Kazuma Okamoto, 0 for 4. Alejandro Kirk, 0 for 4. Dalton Varsho, 0 for 3. Ernie Clement, the All-Star, 1 for 3. Sean Keys, 0 for 2. Luis Urias, 0 for 3. And Yohendrick Pinango, 0 for 1, and then they had Miles Straw go in for 0 for 1 as well. All right, let's go with the Mariners. All right, J.P. Crawford, 0 for 2. Randy Arosarena, 1 for 4 with a run. Big Dumper, 1 for 3 with an RBI. Josh Naylor, 1 for 4 with an RBI after starting off 0-3. Good job. Luke Raley, 1 for 4. Cole Clutch Young with a rare 0 for 4 day. He'll bounce back against Miami. Mitch Garver, 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a 2-run bomb. Obviously the MVP of the game. Colt Emerson, 0 for 3. He'll get going as well with Young against Miami and Tampa. And Victor Robles, 1 for 3 with a run. And then obviously we want to make sure we're, giving the proper due to Emerson Hancock. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, a 2-hitter by Hancock, a 1-hitter by Gilbert in back-to-back games. Fantastic. No earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks, 92 pitches, 58 strikes. And then Spire and Mooney did a great job as well for the most part. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. We're in first place, baby. And we know Rick Riz is loving it. So, again, we have the day off tomorrow. So enjoy, your family and friends and your pets, and stay safe, with all the crazy 4th of July fireworks that are still going off in some neighborhoods all over the world. And again, hopefully Paisley will be able to sleep comfortably tonight. And then after tomorrow, having the day off, we go to Miami, the hottest team in June in the MLB, which will not be easy. And then after we play the Marlins, we got to go against the best team in the American League, who's on a real big hot streak lately, the Tampa Bay Rays. And that's not going to be easy either. So I don't think that's really the 2 teams that I would want to play on the road before the All-Star break. But, again, we are on a kind of a nice winning streak, sweeping the Angels, winning 2 out of 3 in really extraordinary fashion, scoring 15 runs, and the other team getting 0 in back-to-back games. So even though we were winners of 5 of 6, so we have to be confident, and hopefully we can win 2 out of 3 against the Marlins and 2 out of 3 against the Rays. But if we end up winning the first 2, then we can start talking about maybe sweeping. But, hopefully we can win 2 out of 3 minimum in each series. And then we'll go into the home run derby, and they're changing the rules. No more time. It's just swings. And that's going to be awesome. And I'll do that here on the channel. And you can hang out with me with that as well. And then the All-Star game, and I'll call that as well. And then after that, there'll be like a day or 2 off. And then we'll be back into the Mariners after that. So really looking forward to that. And again, remember when we play Miami and Tampa, the games are going to be a little bit earlier because it's on the East Coast. So I believe they'll be on around like 3:30, 3:40 Pacific. So, adjust your calendars and schedules accordingly. And I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Final score, Mariners 4, Blue Jays 0. Shout out to all the people that donated to help out with the emergency vet fund for my pup. Shout out to all the new subs, all the female audience, and all of the individuals watching from the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. All the mods, all the individuals that do what they do all day, and TJ and all the rest. Always a pleasure. And again, love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very much. Final score, Mariners 4, Blue Jays 0. That's great to say. And we win the series as well. We're first place in the AL West, where we should be. And I got one question for you. Who you know talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Tridents up and go Mariners.